Hello, guys. How are you? So we are live here on another Saturday on Photo Lounge live stream, hosted by Selected Imagery. Right. So you guys let me know if you can see the presentation already going live, but I think we're live. So
I can see it.
excellent. Thank you. So welcome everybody. Sorry, the first thing that I had to say is that Jeff is not here. He's at this moment has other commitment, good commitment. He's going out tonight with his wife, and so that he couldn't make it today. So unfortunately for today, you have me as trying to be the director of the orchestra today, but we have an excellent group of panelists and a fantastic presentation for you guys today. So this is what we have. So let me share my screen and describe you what we have in the agenda for tonight, and then we take it from there. All right. So let's put it on this. So here we have our general meeting number 11, right? And as you saw in the thumbnail, is all about videography. And our host today and our guest today will be Joy Hobart, who is going to be talking us about how shooting hybrid on the fly with a hybrid on the fly with one camera. Right? All right. So let me. Oh, first boo boo here. All right, so let me move to this one. So for today, this is the agenda. As usual, we will welcome everybody to the live stream, those of you and panelists, and I will ask you, do you tell us a little bit what you have been up to? And then we will have our feature presentation that I think it would take us, Joy, 45 minutes or an hour with
Yeah,
questions.
probably
Right?
45 minutes ballpark. But yeah, definitely to everyone in the chat, lots of questions. It's welcome. That's really what the point of today is. I want you guys asking questions because in the end of the day, I might not think of something and you're like, oh, like what focal length did you use? And I will do my best to answer your questions.
All right. So then after following that one, we will go through the news and rumors. Then we got some segment here on photo gear, all the new as we have every evening, and then every Saturday when we get together, and then I have a couple of photos and some discussion point on the photo sharing segment, and we finalize our show with the upcoming live streams. We have a roster of presentations in the pipeline. But as usual, we want to check what else is available and how we're going to handle all that. All right. So the next thing here will be to go to our panelists. So let me go back to the panelists for a second here, and then ask the panelists have been what you guys have been doing. What have you up to? Okay, so let's start clockwise with David.
Well, last weekend at this time I was Scottish country dancing. Is
Okay,
the group that I belong to in Alberta? It's or I should say in Edmonton. Every week they have a workshop. Starts Friday and Sunday, and it's so that we can improve our dancing. I think I'm going the other way, but that's beside the point. That's what I've been up to.
and
So
photographically, anything interesting?
well, it's I got three lenses for my full spectrum camera, and I'm finding out that one of them, which is far infrared, the camera is not as sensitive to it as I thought it would be. But it's all experimenting to see what works.
Excellent, excellent.
Okay,
Mr.
and
Randall, well, we're going clockwise, so
in circles.
yes. No, Randall, mute.
Me? All right. Okay. Just again, I'm just hanging on.
Okay. Surviving, waiting for spring. Chuck. Waiting for
Yeah.
spring.
Yeah.
Glad to see you, Chuck. You know, you are the mayor of this town, and every now and then you have to make sure that everybody is as you like it.
No, no, you guys are doing just fine.
Thank you, thank you. We do appreciate that coming from you, Randall. We finish with Joy before unmute, Randall.
Joe,
Oh, we lost your audio, Randall. So
So Randall's been up to lots of great things. I'm just kidding. No, I have no idea. Come on, Randall. We want to hear what you're up
well,
to, man.
let's do Joy where Randall figured out what's going on. Joy,
All
go
right,
ahead.
fair enough. Last couple months, just been wrapping up shooting for a photo book that I'm doing in conjunction with the camera store. So that's been a lot of fun, just going out to the mountains. So finished up shooting the mountain component, just working on the cityscape now with my partner who's shooting that as well. And then coming up, I just got a Panasonic contract. So Panasonic Canada just sent me the S9 along with a kit lens just to shoot a couple social posts for them. So that's coming up. And then also going to be shooting a 360 review of the anti-gravity VR 360 drone. This is actually Jordan Drake's drone, so kind of cool. I was able to borrow his, and that'll be coming up as well. And then the photo book will actually be a live event here in the city coming up in May. So I don't think there's going to be a live cast component, but there'll definitely be a video on the camera store's channel afterwards. So I'll circulate that once it's been
Oh,
published.
we're looking forward to see you there for sure. That's good. So, Randall, are you ready? Try again your talk.
Yeah. So I had an update on the computer and it's messing everything up. I thought I worked everything out, but I noticed that the program I'm using to have multiple cameras, it mutes the first one, and that's what happened. But I've been playing with the Monster adapter with the Nikkor D lenses, and it's doing a pretty good job. There are some hiccups, but I did a video. It's doing real good. I hope it's helpful for people if they're interested in using the old lenses, the D lenses, with this adapter. And that's about it. I just did some shooting and video work like I always do.
So what computer did you got?
I got quite a few, but I'm on the M4 Pro Mac Mini. I have a M4 Mac Studio, and I have two M1 Max Studios also, besides some gaming PCs. So
well, that's you have all this interconnected. That can be a challenge then, with all the connections. And on my side, I have been the weather here in the Denver area have been quite strange. It have been extremely dry and not that cold. So we have a deficit in terms of the amount of water that we should get by this time of the year. So and it used to happen, and you will see that when we talk about photo gear. I have been going to some of my old slides and learning whether I can digitize them. So that's a segment that we're going to have a mini presentation after Joy when we get into the photo gear section, because I have been doing quite a bit of learning and I want to learn from you guys as well. So with that, who do we have, David, on the chat? On mute, David. David, you're on mute.
That's okay. I sound better muted. We got Art Bear, Randall, Bob R. Focus, Rakesh, Jeff and Leslie, Real Nikon Lover.
Excellent, thank you.
And that's it.
Excellent, thank you. All right, so let me go back to sharing, and then with that, I think we're going to go pretty quickly into. What happened here with it? Okay. So what I need is to maximize it. All right. So the next thing is going to be not that one. It's going to be our feature presentation, right? So Joy, get ready, and when you're ready, I bring you in to replace this slide that I'm sharing.
Okay, great. I am ready to go. I'm just going to get my window selected here just to make sure I'm looking at the right screen, entire screen. All right, here we go. Can everyone see my screen okay?
Yes, we can. So let me stop share in a second here. Stop sharing this one. Oops, sorry, Randall.
Awesome. So you guys will see me looking over to the side. That's just because I've got you guys on the side screen here and my presentation's on the other screen. So please bear with me with that. All right, everyone. Well, yeah, thank you guys so much for having me here tonight. I'm excited to talk about shooting hybrid. It's not necessarily the most attractive thing, but I think a lot of the time when we're thinking about going out and shooting for clients, especially in today's day and age where video is king for so many, we don't necessarily have the luxury of shooting with more than one piece of gear. So today, that is what we are going to be talking about. So to kick things off, let's just talk about why. Why should you be shooting hybrid? There's sort of three things that sort of factor into this decision. The first one is budget, right? I find with a lot of the clients that I work with, I'm bringing my own gear. I don't have a budget necessarily for a B shooter or extra rental gear. It's like show up with your camera, get the shoot done in 2 hours, and then that's it. There's no retakes. There's no professional lighting. It's very much just run and gun, which is what you'll hear a lot of people say. So that's the first piece. Second piece is your client needs. A lot of the time I find with a lot of the folks that I work with, money is sometimes a little bit tight for them, right? I work with a lot of smaller businesses, and when I'm working with them, they're really trying to maximize those dollars, and they don't have a ton of money to hire multiple shooters and hire, professional lighters. They're like, okay, just come in and make something for me. It can be really general that way. And, whenever I'm trying to, first of all, get the client and then retain them, I want to give them as much value as I can. And for me, that's shooting with one camera and delivering both photo and video in a professional way where they feel like, oh my God, I just got so much bang for my buck and I can do so much with that. Now, before I deal with a client, I always make sure that we've quoted that out, right? Like, here's my video hourly rate, here's my photo hourly rate, here's a bundled rate. That bundled rate is usually what gets them. And usually what I do is I actually kind of cap things because I also factor in my editing time. I've also got an editing rate that I charge for, which I'll share later on. So usually my structure with that is I will actually kind of just come with a flat rate. I kind of look at, what their situation is, how long I reckon editing time will be, and then we'll come up with an agreement based on that. And then that kind of makes them feel a bit more comfortable and myself as well. Just because that way, then, if I can do something faster, great. If it takes a little bit longer, it's okay, right? It's not a huge deal. And then the last piece of the hybrid logic is the number of shooters. Are you doing this by yourself? Do you have someone else going with you? And also, where are you doing it? That's another big thing as well is, if you're shooting street photography for a client or, somewhere where you're out in nature, where maybe the conditions are a little bit less controlled. If you bring a whole bunch of gear with you, that is all liable to be stolen or damaged. Those are all things that we have to consider. Right. So for me, I find that most of my shoots are outdoors for the most part. And I don't want to take more than what I need because if I do, I have to set it down and I can't carry it with me. Typically, when I'm out shooting in a hybrid environment, I've got one sling bag and I run and gun with everything in that sling bag and I can quickly change lenses on the run. And aside from that, that's about all I bring with me. So any questions on? Yeah. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so typically, let's say a project, what do you think proportion of the time that you spend getting the deal done, okay, shooting and then editing before you deliver the product? It's in percentages.
Yeah, sure. It depends on the client. Over the summer, I was working with a few golf courses. Typically, so the golf course one, and again, like I think how you get your clients can be really non-linear. Like there's not really a right way to do it. I'm a passionate golfer. A friend of mine at work was like, hey, this golf course group is looking for people to take photos in exchange for playing golf. I was like, yeah, that sounds great. I'll just do that. Like, I like playing golf and I take photos when I go golfing. So I reached out to them. They were like, yeah, sure, whatever, we'll do it. And then I was like, hey, by the way, I have a drone and I'm a videographer. And then that conversation turned into, okay, here's 2 golf courses we're going to contract you to do, right? That conversation probably took, I don't know, about a month, I would say, just between reaching out, hearing back, going back and forth, and then finalizing the budget. But I didn't get both courses right away. I got the first course, did a good job. Then they sent me out to the secondary course. In terms of the shoot time, for both courses, it was about the same. It was one morning. So with that, you were looking at probably about hour and a half ballpark. With the golf courses, I found with that, it was shooting really early in the morning, between the maintenance crew finishing and the first round of golfers going out. You kind of get that sweet spot, and we timed it where it was golden hour, just with the time of year that we were doing the shoot. And then, so it's about an hour and a half, 2 hours for shooting. And then editing wise, I was probably running about 3 or 4 hour workflow for both photo and video. And that was to get a final product.
Wow, fantastic. Yeah.
For sure.
But so you think you spend a lot of your time just getting in conversations and getting a license contract rather than shooting or editing, or you will see proportionally more or less the same? One third of your time.
I think it's kind of hard to compare them just because, like, those conversations, it's not like I'm constantly working on something, right? Like, I'll send feelers out, and if someone gets back to me, great. If not, it's not like I'm sending follow-ups. I've got a full-time 9 to 5. I do this stuff for fun. So I think for me, it's not necessarily a huge lift facilitating those conversations.
Okay.
So more of the work would be with the shooting and editing. And then with that as well, it's also kind of establishing a set of expectations with the client in terms of the amount of revisions on videos. That can be something that can be very time consuming. Typically, I'll allow 2 rounds of revisions before I move on. My computer that I shoot on is a Mac Mini. It's great, but with the way Final Cut works for editing video, it creates these really big proxy files. And what proxy files are basically sub-rendered video files. So that way then when I'm editing and doing playback, there's no latency. It's running really smooth, but those files get really big. So I can usually do one project at a time. So I usually cap things that way.
Excellent. Thank you. All right. So if we don't have any question, we can continue.
Awesome. I love it. Okay. So we talked about why you should do it. How do you actually shoot hybrid? The first thing is the priority. Is this for a client, and what are their priorities? Are they concerned more about photo, or are they concerned more about video? The reality is, if you're shooting hybrid, you can't have everything be perfect, and you're going to miss some moments, right? Typically for me, my client, their priority is going to be video, and photo is secondary, right? So I always focus on making sure I nail the video, then the photos follow, right? And I'm not going to give as comprehensive of a photo package to most clients as I will photo, right? And then that's the second thing. Where is this content going to live? Is it for web? Is it for print? Is it for social media? All of these things will dictate how you shoot. I mean, there's open cameras. Like the camera I'm shooting right now for Panasonic is the S9. That's open gate. It's got a very tall sensor, right? Which is great for editing. So if you're shooting, one round of content, you can optimize that more for horizontal and vertical environments where it can live. But most people, like, you're going to have to make that decision up front, right? And, for the most part, most of my clients, it's horizontal video, which I'm grateful for because I hate shooting vertical video. But, like this project I'm doing for Panasonic, it's only going to be living on Instagram. So I'm going to shoot everything that I do in vertical, and that's both photo, video, and then also my B camera is also going to be in vertical as well, right? So you kind of have to adjust your workflow accordingly. And the way I'm shooting those reels, there's going to be a photography and a videography component within each of those videos, right? So I'm not just taking photos, I'm also doing video, right? So I think that's probably that's the way I approach it. And, yeah, the spork, I think, is the ultimate analogy. If you try to do 100% on both, you're going to do a really bad job and you're going to have a utensil that's basically good for nothing. Right. So make sure that when you're taking this approach, you establish those priorities and you stick to it. Do not compromise. If the client changes their mind halfway through, don't change your mind as well. You say, hey, I can pick one or the other. I can do a little bit of both, but one of these has to be the main thing. You can't have it both ways.
Excellent. Very good.
Yeah. Any questions on setting priorities, or shall we move on?
Just move on. There's no questions in the chat.
Yeah. But a comment indeed, Joy. I mean, you mentioned briefly that this is not your main occupation, correct? However, you are treating this very professionally in terms of setting expectations and having agreements is essential, correct? It doesn't matter if you do it as a side job. You still have to take a professional approach.
100%, Gustavo. Yeah, I mean, my camera is part of my work. So just for everyone that maybe doesn't know me that's in the chat, I work full-time in brand and creative marketing for an energy company. So my camera is part of what I do. I shoot a lot of our community content, both hosting and shooting. I've done some product shoots for our brand as well. A lot of our internal communications, I shoot the content for that. So a camera is part of my workflow, right? But when I look at what I run in my spare time, I wanted to have my brand, and I want my brand to be efficiency, reliability, and creativity. Those three pieces are the most important. And, I only work with clients that I actually get on well with, right? This is stuff that I'm doing in my spare time. This is my evenings, my weekends, Friday afternoons. And for me to be able to validate spending that spare time on these sorts of things, I mean, obviously the money has to be there for sure. That's a good bonus, but also it has to be for something that I feel like adds value to my life from a creative angle, right? I mean, when I'm shooting stuff for an energy company, it's an energy company, right? Like you're a little bit limited in terms of how creative you can be. So this gives me a channel to sort of put that creativity into. And then, yeah, in terms of maintaining those professional standards, it's just the way I've always worked, right? If I want to keep a client on, that's a lot easier to do than a one-off project, right? Like if I can keep a client on a recurring basis and do 2 or 3 projects a year for them, that's about how much capacity I have, right? I'm not of the school of thought that I want every moment of my spare time to be spent working, whether that's my 9 to 5 or my side hustle. So, yeah.
So you have a question there. Go ahead, David. Greg Wilson.
Yeah, they said on average, how do you often get a side client?
Yeah, 100%. I find I typically have 2 to 3 per quarter, would typically be where I'm at these days. And a lot of that these days is word of mouth, right? And that's also clients reaching out to me and asking for an X and a Y, right? Like, hey, we need help with this. Like even this Panasonic gig, I didn't ask for this. Right. I'm a Panasonic storyteller. I got that opportunity through the camera store. I've maintained that relationship for the last 2.5 years. Their marketing team reached out to me on Instagram and were like, hey, we've got this project. Can you help? Right. So a lot of that is through the relationships you build. And I think that was the one thing I would say is really important from a people perspective, really foster those relationships, right? I mean, even this photo book event that I mentioned that I'm doing in conjunction with the camera store, I have that relationship with the camera store because I built it. And then with where we're hosting the event, it's going to be at the distillery client that I have, right? They were willing to give us the space for the event, right? So, I think, yeah, people connections and really listening to people, that is the biggest thing. And there's a lot of photographers and videographers I know within my own community that are way more talented than I am. I'll be the first to admit that. But I think that my people's skills might be a little bit beyond some of the folks that I've seen, and also that hybrid piece, right? Being able to offer both products at an affordable price really makes it attractive to folks, and also not just being cookie cutter, right? Like if you're going to send a lead email to a client, a potential client, don't just call, like email them, give them a phone call, get in their face, come up with some ideas, put those ideas in the email. I mean, yeah, they could turn around and say, yeah, we're not interested. But if you don't tailor things to the potential customer, they're not going to go for it, right? Like they're going to be like, all right, well, who cares? You're just another big box solution. I'm not big box. I'm boutique. I am small, and I pride myself in that.
That sounds good. For what you mentioned, that sounds like you have a full-time weekend business going on here with that amount.
Yeah, but no, but it's not though, right? Like I said, one of my shoots will usually take an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours max, and then I'm looking at a 3 to 4 hour editing period, right? So that's for a full project, and that's including the photos. That's not just video.
Very good, very good.
Awesome. So this is another consideration. What type of subject? Are we looking at sport versus lifestyle? These are baseline settings I will always have the back of my head when I'm going to a shoot. If I'm shooting sports, nature, anything that's got a lot of movement, in terms of my video frame rate, I'm looking at 60 frames per second minimum, because if I'm shooting on a 30 frames per second timeline, that means I can slow that down by about 50%, and I'm going to be able to still have video that looks really smooth. And then in terms of my shutter, I'll set that up before I get to the shoot at 1/250 as a minimum, just as sort of a baseline. Obviously, lighting factors in, the speed of the subject factors in, and also your ISO, right? So, that can all change, but that's kind of typically where I'll start. In terms of lifestyle, I'm looking at 24 frames per second. That's usually what I edit on. Most Hollywood and shot for TV pieces are on 24 to 25 frames per second timelines that they edit on their video software. And you know what? If we've got a little bit of time towards the end, guys, I'm more than happy to open up Final Cut and put together a quick project file, and we can look at how I cut if that's something that people would like. And in terms of photography, on lifestyle, usually 1/125. And again, that's really subject to lighting. If I'm shooting outside, I love shooting outside. I think that that's one of the best things. And I think that where we are in Alberta, we're very lucky that we can leverage different seasons for different content. I shoot a lot of winter content for the distillery out in the mountains because it's spectacular. It's beautiful. It is bright. It's in fact too bright most of the time. And then in the summer, the city looks great. So I shoot lots of content around the city, right? So I kind of balance those things out and offer clients different things depending on seasonality and, what's around me that way.
But it looks like, and this is where what you mentioned before plays a role. And these are the things that you like to shoot, correct? Therefore,
100%.
You stay within your preference, correct? You don't do events like conferences. You don't do weddings. You stay within this because this is like your side job, right? Then you can choose your clients and stay with the things that you like to do.
100%. I did shoot one wedding. I shot it on a Nikon Z6 with an FTZ adapter and a bunch of old F-mount glass. The only reason I did that was because it was a colleague. She was like, "Hey, I really need you to take photos at my wedding." I was like, "Oh man." So I have a lot of respect for wedding photographers. It's so high stress. And I think that's the other thing as well is, for me, it's a form of relaxation, actually. Like you said, Gustavo, it's something I enjoy. And weddings, I mean, if you miss one shot, you're done, right? Like, that's tricky. Oh, Greg Wilson. Quick question. What is the typical style? That's a really good question. I'm going to show you guys some of my work. So maybe that's a better question. What style do you think it is? Because I don't think, I've got my own style, like the way most of my videos look. It's just the way I edit. It's who I am. It's kind of just consistent through most of my work. So I would love to yeah, get your perspective on that, Craig. So if we can circle back on that once we look at some of the content, I think that would be great.
There you go.
All right, setting up the camera. This is very important. So custom buttons and custom profiles. This is crucial. I don't care if you're shooting on a Nikon, a Fuji, a Panasonic. This is in every single camera these days. All of these cameras are amazing. Custom buttons are super useful if you need to have a quick turnaround, right? So a good example would be like on my Fuji, on the back of the screen, I've got a custom button that allows me to switch to high speed video, right? So I can immediately go to 1080 120. So that means 1080p resolution and 120 frames per second if I'm trying to capture something slow motion. The shots you're seeing here, I guess I should probably say what I shot all of this with. Both these were taken with a Nikon Z6 with the FTZ adapter, and I shot it with the 14 to 28 millimeter Nikon f-mount lens. I think what this photo, I think one of the things I really like about these two photos is the autofocus on that camera was brutal, but where it counted, it hit, right? Like I figured out what the camera's limitations were, and I set my autofocus up in a way where I was like, okay, like I can get this, right? And that was single point. That was the biggest thing. And for these dogs, you know, I got right in front of them, nice and close, blurred out the background. I had focus peaking turned on as well, just to make sure I really nailed it. And also weather-wise, like I know it looks really cold in this photo. It was 3 degrees while I was shooting this. Like I was so lucky, it was so nice. So I was actually able to take my gloves off and really dial in my camera settings and not be super rushed. And then, yeah, in terms of like color profiles, video codecs, those are all things you should factor whenever you're doing a shoot. You have to think about your workflow, right? Like if you've got a really powerful computer, I mean, yeah, you can shoot in RAW and whatever you want if you've got the storage and the capacity. But if you don't, you need to adjust, right? So for me, I've had the same desktop now for, I don't know, 5-6 years. It's a Mac Mini with a M1 chip in it, which is great. It's nice and fast. But storage-wise, I've got 400 gigabytes of internal storage, and I can't run proxy files, meaning the big video project files, on an external hard drive. It's too slow. So whenever I'm shooting in typically H.264 or H.265. I'll shoot in log. I can get things really dialed in there, but I'm not going to be shooting in a raw codec. It's just not realistic. And honestly, like the way I color grade and the way I edit, it's not, you're not going to notice that big of a difference. And also I try to shoot in really well lit situations. So it's not like I need to bring back a whole bunch of shadows. Typically I find that I'm usually kind of well set from that side. And then from a photo perspective, I do shoot raw. That's, I think, one area where I won't compromise. I'll shoot raw as much as I can. Now, that being said, one thing I have noticed with my Fuji XD50, the writing speeds on the card that I have is a little bit slow. So if I'm shooting like a, hold on, let me just open my camera here. I can tell you exactly what photo mode it was that was giving me trouble the other day. If I'm shooting HDR in body, I find that that's like a 5-second stitch time, right? So like my camera will take all 3 photos within like half a second, and then I'm absolutely kiboshed for 5 seconds. I have to wait, right? So that can impact the way I shoot. But if I'm shooting just regular raw photos, the right time I find is fine. So I think, yeah, just be cognizant of how long certain things take to render in your camera and then adjust accordingly. Because again, if you're shooting hybrid, it's not like you've got a second camera body. Like this one body has to do the work, and you need to make sure that you can deliver on both. Yeah, that's it. So yeah, I think, are there any other questions in the chat there?
No, I think we're okay.
No.
Yeah, nice. Okay, awesome. Any questions from you guys on setting up a camera?
No, that makes perfect sense. Correct. It's particularly for the media that your clients demand. You don't need to have the super raw of. We got a question here. raw files on the video side, correct? And that will slow you down.
Totally. Oh, it looks like there's one question from Greg.
Yeah.
Are you wearing black like most client photographers? No, I am not. Usually, whenever I go to shoot for a client, I'm just wearing jeans and a t-shirt, or if it's at a wedding, like when I did that one, like I wore a suit, right? I tried to not make myself super known, I suppose would be the question or the answer to that. I shoot interviews as well, and I find that I get nervous myself in front of camera. How do they feel being on that end, right? And if I am dressed in a very, I don't know, stereotypical fashion for a photographer or a videographer, it can kind of put people off. It makes them nervous, and I want to just look like an average Joe, no pun intended, right? Like I really want people to feel comfortable.
Very good.
Yeah. All right, moving on to video considerations. What frame rate is best? There really isn't a right or wrong answer to this. Another question. Are you wearing camo for outdoor clients? Yeah, I was wearing a giant dog bone for that dog there. Yeah, no. I mean, yeah, I just dress for the weather, right? I mean, I've never been in a situation where I would need to wear camo, but I would love to be. Like, I would love to be that nature photographer that's like hiding in a shrub, dressed as a plant, and just gets an absolutely blurry photo of a moose, because that's what would happen if I was in that situation. Yeah, so for video considerations, if I'm shooting on a 24 to 25 rate frames per second timeline, these are the frame rates I know I can shoot it. Okay, so 24 to 25, okay, I can get up to 50 frames per second and still be able to slow it down to 50% speed and have something usable, or I can go all the way up to 100 if I want to go like 25% speed.
Mm-hmm.
So that's typically the way I'll look at that timeline. Now, some clients like 30 frames per second. Looks a bit more like broadcast media, I would say. At those frame rates, okay, I need to do 60 frames per second in order to slow it down by 50%, and 120 frames per second if I want to slow it down by even more. My math skills are legendarily bad, so we are just going to leave that there. Yeah, I know my limitations, guys. I know what I am. I'm the token blonde of this channel, and that is fine. So yeah, I think those are kind of the way I look at things. Any questions on video considerations or frame rates?
No,
Do you use zoom lenses or primes?
I use both. So after I finish up this slide, we're on project examples. So here, why don't I do this before I jump into my project examples? Why don't I show you guys the kit that I shoot on right now, and then we can jump into some examples. Just a second. So stop sharing. All right, hold on. There we go.
We go to this one. I need to bring you in here.
I'm making a big screen. I feel like a king. I love it.
Exactly.
Okay. Oh man, yeah, look at that ugly spud. All right. So I've shot with a lot of gear over the years. I started out on Nikon with a D7100, moved over to Fuji for a little bit, then went back to Nikon. I was on a Z6. That's how I started my channel, and most of my professional work was on a Z6. With one F mount or with one Z mount lens, I sold that and got a whole bunch of F mount lenses with the FTC2 adapter. I built an empire of subscribers of people that were frustrated with the autofocus. So that was kind of my whole thing. And then I moved over to Panasonic. So that's when I started being a Panasonic storyteller. I had an S5 II along with a series of lenses. Sold that, was cameraless for a little bit, and now I'm on a Fuji. So the reason I went with this camera system was just because, sorry, there's a question there. What is the difference between frame rate and timeline? The frame rate is the timeline, if that makes sense. So whenever you set up a video project, you have to set the frame rate for the whole space. So you have to set like H.264. You want your color codec to be set. All that is kind of set beforehand. And the frame rate's just part of that, right? So, if I'm shooting on 24 frames per second timeline, when I export that project, that's the time, like that's the frame rate it's going to be exported in, essentially. I hope that answers your question. But yeah, anyways, yeah. So shooting a Fuji X-T50. It's got the 40 megapixel sensor in it. Love this camera a lot. Lots of dials. I love dials. And then in terms of my rig that I've got on it, I've got the small rig. I just wanted something that I could mount things on. So I've got a nice mount plate there and there. I can also mount it vertically. Then I've also got the thumb grip on the back as well, just to make it comfortable. And then in terms of lenses, I've got 2 primes, 1 zoom. This is the Viltrox. I'm just getting. Oh, can you guys see it there?
Yep. Very
Perfect.
good.
Yeah. So I got the Viltrox 15 millimeter f1.7 with a variable ND gold mist on the end. And then what else do I have? I've got a Sigma 30 millimeter f1.4 prime
Excellent.
as well. Yep, love this. This is my favorite lens by far. Same Pro Mist on the end, variable ND. And then my zoom lens is the 50 to 230 millimeter Fuji lens. Keep in mind that all of these is a 1.7 times crop. So I actually get a lot of range out of this little lens. And it's also got the OIS lens stabilization that works really well with the camera. Yeah, it's a nice little lens. I love this lens. And the reason I picked all of this, look how small this is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like I can fit all of this in one single carry bag. No problems. And you know, my old bag.
I love that. I love that you have your neutral density filters put on already, so you don't have to be messing up, unscrewing and screwing stuff. Correct. Better to have them in all your lenses, and then you
100%. Well, and the reason I keep them on there, Gustavo, is because of video considerations when you're out shooting, right? Like if I'm shooting at a 24 frame rate video, I need my shutter to be 1/50.
Exactly.
And things get bright really fast. Now, you might be wondering, why do you do that? It's for motion blur. It looks more cinematic. It looks nicer.
Exactly.
I don't always shoot in the best conditions, right? Sometimes I do have to just shoot in auto and bite the bullet. The client doesn't really notice. I notice. It's more for me than it is for them. But yeah, that whole kit, I can fit that in this Peak Design bag easily, right? And when I'm shooting, cameras around my neck for the most part. I don't usually use a tripod. I don't usually use a gimbal. It's just around my neck. And then I've got this open on the side. So like if I need to switch from 15 to 30 mil, it will take me half a second to quickly pop those off, switch them, and I'm on my way.
Now, you do mostly like basically productions that look like a commercial, correct? For a different, you don't have to, do you record the audio as well, or you don't record the audio?
I do record the audio. So whenever I do, well, not always. It depends on the type of content. If I'm shooting more commercial style and there's not like a talking component, then I'm just going to shoot mute the entire way and then I'll overlay audio afterwards. Right. So that could be from a variety of different platforms like Motion Array. There's actually a website called freesound.org. They're great. I use them if I've got zero budget for sound. I'll just go there and pull things. The thing you want to factor in though, if you're using any third-party audio, is copyright infringement. You really want to make sure that if your client is going to be using this as a paid ad or they're putting anything into it that way, that you've got the licensing for the audio you're using, because that could come back to bite them.
But did you in your bag you carry your microphone, or typically?
I've got 2 mics. So I've got this pair of Ulanzi wireless mics. This is usually what I use most of the time. I've got a pair of mics and a wireless receiver that plugs right into my camera. Love these mics. Really cheap, really solid. And then if I'm shooting like a vlog or something like that, I've just got the Rode Video Mic 2. It's solid. It's small, right? Again, trying to keep everything as compact as possible. I've had heavier setups over the years. And I just, for me, like recognize that if I can't carry it with me, I'm not going to use it. And even my gimbal, if I'm shooting with a gimbal, this is what I use. Okay. This is so small, right? Like I can break this down and fold it up and I can still fit that in that same bag with all my camera gear, right? Exactly. So now a gimbal like this, you're not going to be able to put a full frame Nikon Z8 on it, but a Fujifilm X-T50, if I take the cage off, I could put any 3 of those lenses with the camera on this and shoot good content that way. Now I only use this if like the client asks for it, or I'm going to be doing like running shots of an athlete or moving shots. Like if I'm moving backwards like this, like I would definitely use the gimbal. Now, most of my clients, that's not the case. Most of my shots are stationary or it's very minimal movement. And if I'm shooting movement for those sorts of shots, this is where I picked this type of strap very specifically. It's rounded, it's very comfortable, and it's not going to hurt my neck. So I will tense my camera like this to get as much stability as I can.
Excellent.
And then it's very small movements. If I'm shooting at a higher frame rate, like 60 frames per second or 120, I can move a little bit faster because I can slow it down. If I'm shooting 24 frames per second, I need this to really be stationary and stable.
So
now, if the long
you can do a panel shot using that holding technique.
Very slowly, very slowly. Like, and actually, if I'm shooting pano, I'm bringing my camera in like this, and I'm pivoting from my hips.
Okay.
It's a lot more stable that way, right? And that's very personal, right? Everyone's kind of got their own way of getting those types of shots, and it will take a while of you shooting very blurry, unusable video to find out, like, okay, like what are my limitations?
So you have a technical question?
I think I already answered this one.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good in that one.
So I also know, because obviously you are part of the community and you have shown some of your products before. Do you carry also your drone in most of your shoots or not?
I do, and I've got it right here. So I've got a designated drone bag that I will keep all my stuff in if I'm traveling long distance. This is my entire setup.
Excellent.
That's it. And I can just plug this in to charge it. I can plug this in to charge it. I don't have the extra docking station. I don't need it. I thought I did when I first bought it. But this is a Mini 3 Pro. So it's a 4K sub 250 drone. Does true vertical video because the gimbal can adjust. And then the only accessory that I put on this that wasn't DJI was a variable ND. So whenever you get a drone like this, it doesn't have a variable aperture. Oh, sorry. Did someone have a question?
No, I don't see anything.
Gotcha. So yeah, I mean, I'll usually set that on the ground before I take off. And also, you really want to be careful doing that because the drone has to be turned on. There's no way around that. I'll try to set it to what I think it should be. I've got a 1 to 6 variable ND. It's not the strongest, but I'll set that, turn the drone on, get it set for my subject. So I'll pick the drone up and point it towards where I'm going to be shooting and kind of figure out what's going to be the right setting on the ND. I set it and then I take off. Sometimes you'll see something along the way while you're flying that you really, really want to get, and your ND's already set. It is what it is. I'm just going to switch it back to auto at that point on my controller, right? I'm just going to set that back to auto. It is what it is. Again, the client's not going to necessarily notice. You're going to notice. And the reason I picked this drone is because sub 250 drones are a lot more flexible with where you can and cannot fly. There's still a lot of rules and regulations depending on where you're located. But typically the sub 250 drone weight class, so if it's 250 grams or less, there's a lot more flexibility with flight locations.
Excellent. Thank you.
And then actually, I guess I can show you guys the drone case just for reference here. Let me just put it all back in there. This is my whole drone case. So it's pretty small, right? All things considered, it's not.
You got to carry that one, carry the other one.
Yeah, I can. I do it. I'll do a crisscross applesauce if I have to. But again, if I take out my zoom lens, I could fit my camera with a lens, my gimbal, and that all in the same Peak Design bag.
Wow.
If I really wanted to. And then even lighting, right? Like if we're going to talk about lighting. Hold on, let me just grab it here. I had it set up before. I use a really compact light. It's the Ulanzi 40-watt RGB light. This is it. This is my whole light. This breaks down. This pops off. This is the whole light. It's rechargeable. It's got lots of different options in terms of lighting. Let me just turn it on here so I can show you guys. You can warm it up, cool it down.
Excellent.
And lots of variable light features as well. I typically will bring this with me on shoots. And then, yeah, I think the newest thing I'm working on was I really wanted a custom leather. Oh, I see a question there. What does the drone weigh with the ND? It would still be less than 250. I remember I measured it, and I think it was right around that 250 mark. David is trying to get me in trouble here. I love it. Yeah, but one thing I was realizing was for me to fit my light, my drone, all my lenses, my gimbal in one bag, I didn't have a bag that fit it other than my backpack, and I hate that backpack. I hate it so much.
Oh my
Low
God.
Pro is great. For the price, it's awesome. But like I have to take the whole thing off, take stuff out. I like sling bags because I can just pull things out as I'm running and gunning, right? And I did a project with this guy. Oh, is Roy back? Roy's thinking about it. He's teasing us.
Yeah. We
Come
go
on,
back.
Roy.
I bring you right later on when
I love
maximize.
it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay, Gustavo. But anyways, yeah, I really wanted a custom leather camera bag. And I was like, oh my God, like there isn't a custom bag that works for me. Like the Peak Design larger bag would work, but again, I wanted to get a leather bag. So I reached out to a leather maker here in Calgary, and him and I decided to trade services. He was like, I don't have any good marketing materials, photo or video. And I was like, I don't have a custom leather bag. So he built me a custom sling bag to my specifications that I'm just working on finishing now. And he just gave it to me a couple days ago there. And my whole kit is going to live in this. So he used buffalo leather. It's got double zips. And then he used a seatbelt on the back for the carry strap. Comes fully off that way, so I can wear it as a fanny pack if I'm really wanting to feel cool, or I can wear it as a sling. It's fully waterproof, and then the inside he did a lining with this sort of nylon waterproof material. So he finished building this out for me. So right now what I'm working on is my mom's actually an interior designer, so she's got AutoCAD software. So she's going to do a 3D design for a 3D printed insert to put in here, just to give it a bit more stiffness and protection. And even that, it's going to be really minimal. It's just going to be a single insert, solid all the way around with a shelf design. So I can put in layers of stuff if I'm traveling with a ton of gear, or I can just keep it open concept and just put all my stuff in. One of the things you guys might have noticed on my Peak Design bag, yes, it's got inserts. I don't have a single one in there. It's just open. The padding is good enough that I can just put everything in a solid way, and it's not going to shuffle around. So yeah, once this is done being built, I will put a YouTube video out about it, but it just got to finish the insert before I can. All right, I think that's the end of my show and tell. If we want to start doing some examples, should we bring Roy in first?
Let me see. By the way, you are the ultimate pragmatic person with regard to this, correct? This take it as a compliment from somebody like me who do my photography with 3 bags, with all sort of lenses, tripods, etc., etc. But definitely for the kind of work that you do, having that flexibility and keeping everything under control is essential, correct?
Definitely, yeah. Well, and I mean, for me, the way I operate mentally, if I can't pull it from my bag and have easy access to it, I'm not going to use it. That's the bottom line. And with that sling bag, I can keep that open. I can pull lenses out. My drone's right there. Like everything I need to be the creator that I am is at my fingertips. Roy, how are you?
Good.
Good. How's life?
So we go back to Roy after we finish with just some examples.
Awesome. Sure. Yeah. Let me just get my screen going here again. All right. I'm going to share my audio. Actually, yeah, I'll share some audio, guys. If you can just mute your microphones, if that's okay. Just for now. All right. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, actually, I don't think anyone in the chat will get the echo. The echo is probably just us on the call, right? Yeah, maybe in the chat. Can you guys hear an echo right now, or does it sound okay? Just put like a thumbs up in the chat or something like that, just for us to know.
We're okay.
They're okay. All right, party on. Okay, great. All right, well, welcome to my horrible website. It is a Squarespace site, but this is how I market all my work, right? Everything I shoot. That's the other thing I try to do as much as I can is if my client's okay with me sharing it on my own platform, that just really helps me a lot, right? That's proof of product. That's something I can put online. And that's something I completely Will I be doing a drum solo in intermission? No, I don't feel like I've got the swag to pull off the whole like Phil Collins, like looking like a math teacher. I mean, it's definitely in the air tonight, but no, I can't do it. Yeah. So what this website, when I first built it, it's probably about 3 years ago. It did not look like this. It was very minimal. It didn't have a lot of content. And since then, I've completely retrofitted it. So maybe would that be okay, guys? You want me to talk a little bit about my design and kind of like why I built things a certain way?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So homepage, very simple. All of this is, I used AI to optimize the words for keyword search to try to show up more. Basically, when you think about keyword optimization at a really high level, what you're looking at is Google is scraping the internet for information, right? It's like, okay, this person is searching for budget house blinds in Alberta in a certain style. So what Google will do is then take your search and scrape the internet to find that answer, and then it basically prioritizes those on the search bar based on what it finds. So the more keywords you can put into any website on any page is going to help you show up when people are searching for things. So that's why I picked certain things for my page in terms of verbiage. So we got basically, all right, that general theme. All right, you want to enhance your digital presence. Awesome. We're going to scroll down a little bit. Who are my clients? Who can I actually hang my hat on and say I've helped? So I've put through a scroller here with an example video in the background of clients I've worked with. And if I click on any of these click here's, it's going to take you to work that I've actually done for that client.
Maybe something that I have to do here. Let me see. I see you. We were seeing.
Oh, is it not working?
Yeah. There we go.
Oh, there we go. Awesome. Yeah, here it is. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, here's the client list. Like I said, I built it as a scroller. I use Squarespace for all this, so you are a little bit limited with the amount of customization you can do. So I couldn't get it to auto scroll. That's okay. I've got a click here that will take you to client work that I did for each of these specific clients. So if someone's going through and wants to see what I've done, they can. It's easy. Then I got a nice little section here that's got a call to action, a CTA. Anytime you can try to drive people towards an action, you should do that on the page, right? I've got a little bit about my story. And then I've got testimonials. Testimonials are really, really, really important. I asked all of my clients for these and they were like, yeah, sure. You did a good job. No problem. Right. So I was able to put that on my website. I've got one more scroll gallery at the bottom, because the thing you have to factor in is your homepage might be the only page this person visits. So I tried to cram in a lot of stuff. There's probably too much, to be honest. But here I've got a list of my services and a drop down, and I've got another call to action, something that someone can click to communicate with me, as well as my social media. So let's have a look at my gallery, because I think that, well, that's where we'll go next. I really want to leave this up to the chat or to the folks here that are online with us on the panel. What which client project would you guys like me to jump into? Sorry?
You choose.
I'll choose. All right, I'll choose the first one. Why don't we have a look at the Phi Golf 2 Flex? All right, so really high level. This is a virtual swing stick. It's a golf stick that's got a sensor in the top, and then it sends a signal to your tablet or your smart device, and it allows you to play virtual golf anywhere. This client, I got them by sending them an email, and I was just like, hey, I really want one of these for free because I'm cheap. I will shoot you a video. I built that relationship up for a year, and then they had me shoot their North American launch video. Right. So again, another example of, I just reached out to someone and was just like, hey, do you want to just trade? Same thing like I did with the leather bag. And then it turned into paid client work. There's no way I could have foreseen that would happen. But by me building those relationships, it put me in a position to succeed. So here, I'll show you guys the video first, and then I'll tell you what I shot with.
Meet Phi Golf 2 Flex. Your game anywhere life takes you. Now smaller, smarter, and more portable than ever. Everything you need fits in the palm of your hand. Ultra portable, pull it from just about anywhere and you're ready to swing. Setup is easy. Plug in, pair, and play. Access over 38,000 real courses, no tee time required. Play solo or go head-to-head in fun modes like Crazy Birdie, Speed Golf, and Rush Mode, up to 4 players on a single device. Compatible with E6 Connect for a premium virtual golf experience. Fly Golf 2 Flex, golf made for the way you live. Pack it, swing it, love it. Discover more at flygolf.com.
Okay, yeah. So, a little bit on this video before we look at the photos. I shot all of this with the Sigma 30mm lens that I showed you guys earlier. And then I shot all of it with the Fuji X-T50, and I shot most of it with the Xeon Crane gimbal, the really small drone or gimbal I showed you guys. In terms of the subjects, how did I get people to be in the video? They were my friends. This is a couple that I'm really close with since high school, and I was like, hey, I'll give you guys some pizza. Do you want to come out and do a shoot? Okay, awesome. This shooting location, it's out near Exshaw, and that's an area that technically I'm allowed to fly my drone. Okay, great. That means I can get my aerial shots, right? These are all considerations I put in to creating this video. And in terms of the location itself, it was a boat launch. So I was able to pull right up with my car, get that tent set up, get everything rolling, and then set it all up ready to go. In terms of the photos, I really just tried to capture moments from the video, right? So I would stop shooting video for a second and say, hey, hold. And then I would get that, like my friend Tony here, to hold in one spot. And I really just tried to capture some fun moments of them having fun. This was 100% a lifestyle shoot, right? We really wanted people to just have fun, enjoy it, because that's the other thing as well. If the people in the video aren't having fun, then that's going to be evident and no one's going to have fun. So for me, like, I was just making them laugh and really getting them going from behind the camera. And that really kept them motivated and made the client really happy. This is my own iPad, right? I brought my own iPad, my own account, and then I tried to take photos of it in unique environments. So I've got the mountains in the background there. I've got everything sharp here in the background, but I shot this at probably about f4 or 4.5, I believe. So that way then it's blurred a little bit. So you've got the focus on the foreground, but the background isn't so blown out that I can't actually tell where I am. And then, yeah, it's just a mix of different product shots. The two of them having a nice moment together, and then just one of the landscape. But again, you guys can tell that the focus was 100% on the video. And with that video, I also optimized that for social media, meaning I cropped in, doing a full vertical version of it. And then also as well, the voiceover, that was me. I used the microphone I'm actually using right now. And then I used Canva to generate those text overlays that you saw through the video. And then the audio, I got a non-copyright track from a website. So yeah, any questions on this one?
No, I think
Okay. All right. Moving on. Let's go back to the gallery. What would you guys like to see next? Do you guys want to see like a property shoot? Do you want to see a golf course, a restaurant, a distillery? Whiskey. I like it. All right. We'll go to this one. This is the most recent project I did for the distillery. So context of this, the political environment is fun right now. And a lot of Canadian liquor stores have stopped carrying certain American products just with everything that's going on. So my client is a Canadian distiller here in the middle of downtown Calgary. And they were like, oh man, like our sales are through the roof right now. A bunch of new liquor stores need our product because they're pulling bourbon off shelves. And Eastern Canada, so that being Ontario, Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal, we really want to sell our product out there. So they wanted to create a targeted video ad for Eastern Canada to help promote their product, basically. So yeah, without further ado, I will play the video.
Meet your new go-to bourbons, made right here in Alberta. Crafted with local Tabor corn and Penhold grown malts, and distilled with care in the heart of the Canadian prairie. Try the Tabor corn bourbon for smooth sipping, or go bold with the Tabor Whiskey 101. This is the spirit of Alberta in a glass. Proudly Canadian, internationally awarded. Order your taste of Western Canada today.
So a little bit of context on the video. These drone shots I shot at the distillery one morning. All the shots in the distillery of them actually making product. Let me see if I can pull it here. Where was it? Panel. So, okay, we'll just go through it frame by frame here. Okay, so all of these shots on the tractor and all that, I shot within about a 10-minute radius of my house, or my family's house, actually. So just out in the foothills there. All of the video I shot, with the exception of the drone, was freehand or on a tripod. No gimbal was used. These shots of the grain as well as the combine, I pulled that from a stock video website, Motion Array. So I paid for a membership during this period so I could have license privilege for the for those shots. There's only a few that I used that way. Again, drone. These shots of the distillery, I actually got these on another project I shot for them, so I was able to just pull that footage from my content repository, and then I put it together into sort of this triple frame just to kind of put as much in as I could. The whole ad is 23 seconds. A lot of social media, it's like 15 seconds or less, 30 seconds or less. So I had to really try to put in as much as I could. These pour shots, I shot these in, it was 120 frames per second, if I recall correctly. And I shot all of this actually with a manual focus lens, because I didn't actually have my full kit when I did this. So all of this was shot with a 50 mil Chinese made prime lens that I had to manually focus for everything. Not one shot that you saw, with the exception of the shots that were done with the drone or the old shots, were done with autofocus. All of that was manual and zero stabilization with the lens as well. Let me see if I can pull here. Yeah, like this was the one shot I wish I could have nailed it a bit more. It's a little out of focus because with this, I set it down on the tripod and then tried to nail the focus on the glass. And then I had to just click record and then go do the pour shot, right? So that was a little bit tricky because I also had to make sure there was no traffic coming. No one was with me when I was shooting this. So I had to like make sure I was aware of traffic because this is a bridge that does get used by people. Horse shot was from online. This shot was from online, and then this shot was one I just shot. I had two people hold up a Canadian flag in the background at the fire table just to try to make it a bit more interesting. And then this shot here, I shot at the distillery. I went down into their grain room and I put the bottles inside corn, hit record, and then I shifted all the grain down, and then I zoomed in on the editing time flow to really draw people in, because both these products were made from corn, Tabor corn, which is from southern Alberta. And then the voiceover, that was actually AI. So I generated the script myself, leveraging AI along with some text I put together. And then Motion Array actually has a voice to text voiceover feature. So I used that to generate the actual voice that was on the commercial. Shall we do maybe one more example?
Yes.
All right. Do we want to do property like a hotel, stake, or a golf course?
Steak.
Good choice. So full disclosure, this business unfortunately has gone under. It's not because of my video. I promise. So this steakhouse was called Da Vinci's, and it was actually on my walk to work where our office was. And I just kept walking by, and I was like, "Oh, I really want to do a restaurant video." I'd done one before, but it had been a while, and I really like steak. So I chatted with the owner, and he was just like, "Yeah," he's like, "I'm brand new on the block. I don't have a budget." I said, "Okay, that's fine. Just give me some steak." So he did, and that was our trade. He allowed me to use all this on my website. And he invited my wife and I over for a complimentary dinner at the restaurant in exchange for creating this video. It was shot fully in vertical on the Nikon Z6 and the same drone I shared, and it was shot vertical for Instagram. Yeah, so that's the Da Vinci's video. The reason I picked the music I picked was I just thought it was epic sounding, and it's called Da Vinci, so that kind of fit. One thing I wish I'd done differently, way too much soundscaping. So I put in a lot of sound effects and things, which I mean, I love, but it was maybe a little bit over the top. In terms of photos, I shot this in the middle of the snow, so that was kind of nice for movement. For the most part, this entire shoot was on the 14 to 28 millimeter Nikon f-mount lens on the Z6 with the FTZ2 adapter. Well, actually, no, I had one studio light with me with a grid pattern honeycomb on it. Yeah, I don't know. It was a really dark restaurant. That was like the one thing in the actual space shots, like out here, it was a little hard to get them because it was just too dark. And like I said, I don't have a ton of lighting, so it was a little bit challenging. Shooting in the back, though, that was a little bit easier. It was very well lit. Really tried to get lots of shots of the different meat that they had just because it was really nice cuts. If you're a vegan and you're on this live cast, I'm so sorry, but it's definitely a steakhouse. That was Constantino's. And again, just really trying to capture moments. I couldn't get everything, but I tried to just get some nice stills as much as I could, being able to rotate back and forth with photo and video, but without compromising. And I'm really happy with how this turned out. I think it's fun. It's organic. It looks like a fun place to go. Yeah, that's the steakhouse. And then, we got a comment here. Rodeo and your fave. Oh, you want to look at the rodeo shots? Okay. You want to look at, okay, this one. Yeah. Hold on. I'll bring it up. This one, there's video. This was just 100% photo. Is it going to load? Oh, it's load. Sorry, it's just a little slow in this gallery. Yeah, I was with a sponsorship group, and this was just for myself. I didn't shoot this for a client. These were just photos I took from within the arena. And yeah, it was fun. You know, I shot all this with the Sigma 100 to 400 variable aperture lens on the Panasonic S5 II. Again, not necessarily the fanciest zoom lens by any means with that variable aperture, but you know, I think these photos are pretty strong. You know, it's fun moments with these cowboy athletes. This is my favorite shot that I got. Just this bull just absolutely crushed this dude and then went straight up in the air. And I was just, whoa, how did I get this? And this was in full auto. I didn't have my camera in manual at this point. I just saw the moment, flipped it into auto and just tried to get the shot. And I mean, it's not razor sharp by any means, but it's definitely a cool shot. And I think that's one of the things as well as a photographer, you can get really hung up on settings. You're like, it has to be perfect every time. But like when you're shooting in a hybrid environment or you're just shooting on the fly, you might not have that opportunity and then you'll lose the shot entirely, right? So sometimes you have to get out of your own way when it comes to shooting. But yeah, no, it was definitely a fun event. Favorite one I ever shot. Oh, that's tricky. Probably the ski joring would be my favorite. Yeah, we'll do it the ski joring. So this is an event that they do up in actually no, we'll do the snow dogs. The snow dogs is cooler. We'll do that. So you guys saw the photos of this before. But yeah, this was a dog sled company. I reached out to them and they were like, hey, like we don't have any content. I was like, well, I don't have any dog sled clients. Can I shoot? I never got paid for this. They were never a recurring client. They never even really used the content, but I got to. And I got access, which for me was the big thing. And all of this was shot with the Nikon Z6 with the 14 to 28 millimeter. And these dogs were so awesome. It was a ton of fun shooting it. But again, with this project, the main thing was not the photos. It was the video. So here, let me just make this full screen. Here's the dog sledding. Yeah, so this entire shoot was a ton of fun. I was obsessed with using a gimbal at this point, much to my chagrin. So like this shot here, all of those moving shots, I was actually riding backwards on a skidoo, and I had my Xeon crane. It was a huge gimbal right down on the ground, holding my Z6 with the 14 to 28 millimeter fully zoomed in at 28 mils. And there was no drone shots, and all the shots within the ski within the sled there. I actually had a DJI Osmo Pocket 2 at that point, so I actually gave that to the crew, and I was like to the guy sitting here, and I was just like, hey, like just film, do whatever you can. I put it in 4K 60 in auto, and I just said let it rip, and I used a ton of those shots. Right, I mean, at that point the guy could have damaged it, something could have happened, but it was a risk I was willing to take. Right, I was just like, it's worth getting the shot. So yeah, I think that is about all I've got. The one thing I would just kind of wrap up with on the examples here is create as many opportunities for yourself as you can. I won't go into this gallery, but my wife and I wanted to go on our honeymoon to Portugal, and we wanted to stay at this really nice hotel. And I was like, hey, like if I create content for you, can we get a free stay or a comp stay? They gave us a 50% discount on our stay and a whole bunch of upgrades by me shooting that content. Right. So I think sometimes people always think it's just got to be like a monetary transaction, but it's not always the case. It can be a trade. Sometimes you want to build your gallery up. You know, for me, it's a real mix of things. And yeah, if you guys ever want to look at my content, it's online at jodigital.ca. All my stuff is, and that's actually, that was the last thing I promised I would talk to you guys about was pricing. How do I price stuff? I had this drop down. Typically, this is in Canadian dollars, not US dollars. I'll charge $80 an hour for the photography or $80 an hour for videography. And if I want to do both, I'm going to give them a discount, $120 an hour. That's going to get them both. Again, setting the priority as one or the other. And then my editing, I usually charge about $40 an hour. Editing varies. It just depends. So that's why typically I'll try to get a client to agree to a flat rate before I actually start billing them, just so that way then we're on the same page. I think that's about all I got, unless you guys want to see what a video workflow looks like on Final Cut. Is that something we'd want to do?
We may want to do that. I just wanted to make sure that we don't have the echo so that we can have the conversation. Yeah. For once, Joy, thanks too much. Okay, thanks, because you are a professional, right? You are the ultimate professional. I know this is your side job, but fantastic. Okay, so again, tell us how, so people can reach you mostly to your website, correct?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I'm still active-ish on my YouTube. Like, it's not, I'm not as engaged on there as I used to be. Unfortunately, I just found with work and client work, that takes up most of my time now. And I try to do the occasional YouTube video. Like, I'm looking forward to doing this anti-gravity drone review. Like, but even that, like, it's just for fun, right? And I mean, I hope I get more of an opportunity to do more of this for fun, just because it's become so much of my life in terms of my work that I don't necessarily get as many opportunities just to be creative for the sake of it. That's why I did the photo book. I was like, I'm not making any money on this. I just want to make a photo book.
Okay, and I mean, also, I personally enjoy having not only seeing your wonderful products, but also having like the director's cut. Correct? You tell us a little bit of the inside. How do you do that? And I think I tell you that some of the people get a heck of a deal with you just exchanging this for a meal here or a 50% discount here. It's a fantastic, but hey, that's a way for you to sustain your lifestyle, correct? So
100%, yeah.
so I definitely congratulate you, and for sure, I mean, we enjoy that. So I don't know what if the panels want to add to this, but congratulations for sure.
Excellent.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. And I also want to thank you guys for giving me this community, right? Like, I'm not always here. Life has been really busy, but I really like listening in whenever I can and participating wherever I can. And this is a really great community to be a part of. So, thank you guys. And I know it's been many years now. It's crazy. Like I feel like it was just yesterday I was coming on with Chuck for the first time. And, now it's been a good amount of time. And yeah, and for everyone in the chat,
We
thanks so
see the
much.
arc of your progression as a videographer and as a creator. I love, I mean, your creativity, putting all these shot together to tell the story. Correct? That it looks easy, but it's not. And love the fact that I mean, there is. We're going to have a little bit of discussion that a lot of people fear AI, but on the other hand, you can see AI could be an enabler, and you are really using AI as an enabler. It's not replacing your storytelling. It's just complementing your storytelling. It's adding stuff like you say narration, or it's adding stuff like so some small.
That's the only way I use it actually. So, on the subject of AI, I would say that the video space with AI is really complex because there's a lot of people using it for video generation now in the YouTube space. A lot of our favorite influencers are using it for transitions. I think it's really good. From the actual video creation side, I've used it one time for this interview that I shot, and it worked, but it didn't feel authentic. And I think that's one of the things I find myself battling with as a marketer, especially, is AI is part of my work all the time. Like I use AI in my job every single day. But within the video space, it's just not something that I want to use a ton of. I think I'm going to get more comfortable with it, but there was actually a conversation I had with the head of marketing for Sherwood Hockey. They're a big hockey stick maker up here in Canada. And they've got a bunch of sponsorships with different NHL players that use their sticks, like down in Chicago. What's the fella's name? Who's the main hockey star for Chicago? It's gonna bug me. Anyways, whatever. It doesn't matter. Matt Tkachuk on the U.S. Olympic team, he uses their hockey sticks. I asked him, I said, do you use AI for your video? And he said, we use it for our work, but not for our video. We don't want our stories not to be authentic. And I think that's the way I look at it is I want to use it as a tool to help me. So if it's narration, transitions, that's fine. But the actual video itself cannot be AI from my perspective. It cheapens it. And as we go forward in the future, people are going to start recognizing what's AI and what's not. And I think that's where I can really saying, yeah, I'm not going to cheat. I'll use video. I'll use video that other people have shot if I got the permission to use it, but I'm not going to use fake video. I just can't get myself to do it.
I love also, I mean, how you cut your footage, correct? How long does you have for a still shot of a product, correct? And they look fantastic. I know we have here a consummate product photographer like Roy, but everything within the story, to me, it flows nicely. So again, you're just going to get compliment for me tonight.
Thanks, I appreciate it, Gustavo. And yeah, I think the challenge with media now is you've got a very short amount of time to tell that story, and there's going to be a whole bunch of footage that you have to cut. Like that's the bottom line. And depending on your audience, it has to be a lot faster pace or slower pace, and you've got a lot less time because if your client wants longer clips, you can do that, but the amount of story you can tell in that 30-second to a minute window becomes a lot more limited. Now, if you put in too many clips, it's too jarring, right? So it's kind of trying to find that balance. Because when I first started shooting video, I was speed ramping everything. I was like 2x, 3x, 4x, and it was just like you were getting motion sickness from watching.
That comes with the maturity of you trying things out and eventually saying this is the right balance. But also one discussion point that I want to have with you, because you work this, I mean, you have your professional life where you consume, I want to say media for your company, right? And you produce as well. Because I see, for instance, for the disruption that all these uh, abilities that we have with our equipment can create, correct? Because typically to do a small commercial 30 seconds ago, uh, 30 seconds long, not so long ago, it was almost impossible, correct? It was super expensive. So a small restaurant, a local shop could not afford to even have this type of contents like you do, correct? So
Oh,
can you explore that area that I'm talking about in the new economy, how new equipment, people like yourself. Yes, of course, for the professionals that used to charge $100,000 for a small commercial, correct? This is a challenge, correct? That's a challenge that you present to them. But on the other hand, your clients could never afford the $100,000, correct?
100%. Yeah, I think it's the gear that was around nowadays. I mean, even cell phones, the technology is just leaps and bounds ahead of where it was even 5 years ago. And the amount of quality you can get out of very affordable equipment is amazing. And I think we've all got the brands we prefer now. But in the end of the day, there's a lot of parity in the more eco-friendly cameras, right? Except Pentax. Pentax is not good for video. Don't do it. But in terms of video, most of the cameras that are out there these days can do a very amicable job. Oh, that's good. Yeah, the dog video is my favorite too. So for me, I think when I built out this new kit, my Fuji kit, I was like, all right, I want it to be saving up for a house, working my 9 to 5. I don't want to have a ton of money invested in my kit. I don't need to. Bottom line, I don't need to. And all of the lenses and the things I've picked, storytelling's important. I'm not good at it. No, storytelling, I think storytelling comes down to telling it through your own voice. You have to find your voice within it in order to tell it well. And that just comes with practice. Some of my first videos are painful to rewatch. I've gone back through my old YouTube channel when I was doing travel videos overseas with a moniker I will not be sharing because it is still out there. And it was like some of the worst content I've ever watched. But I had to go through those sort of growing pains to get there. But yeah, sorry, going back to the gear, it's also about finding deals, right? Like this Rode Video Mic 2, I got this on eBay for like $50, and I had a $50 eBay gift card from work. This was $0, right? Like wherever you can cut costs is really important. And yeah, I mean, there's amazing anamorphic lenses and cameras you can get, and I mean, yeah, it's always going to look a step above.
Enjoy it. And the skill that you develop here, correct? You don't have to use it for a professional mean or to have something in between. You can use it to produce your family vacation.
I do.
Right? You can use this to, share here with friends your experiences as a regular photographer, correct? But the those skills are useful, but indeed, because you are kind of impinging in the commercial product, correct? Is the ability to basically democratize these type of tools for the masses, correct? And that's where the new economy is heading with AI, with heading with these capabilities that we have now that we didn't have before. And of course, there's going to be, I will not say casualties of this process, but there's going to be readjustments in the marketplace. Because, imagine what you can do. I mean, this was not possible not so long ago for somebody
100%.
to produce this
No,
quality as a second gig, as a passion job, not as a professional, right?
no, totally. And I think bottom line with any of this stuff is whether you've got a $100,000 camera or you've got a Nikon or a Fuji X-T50 like I have, know how to use your gear and know how to use it in your workflow. That's the bottom line. And I think I would just say to anyone that wants to get clients, you don't buy a $1,000 camera to do it. figure out what your angle is, figure out what your skill set is, and then just leverage those, right? I mean, if you're super into wildlife photography, you like going out to the mountains, find some clients that want your stuff shot out there. You can kill two birds with one stone. You can go out. Well, don't actually kill birds, because I know a lot of you guys are birders. Don't kill the birds, but you can go out and do those photos, and then bring some products out and do a shoot, right? Like, you can do both at the same time. I've done that lots of times, and yeah, I think just make sure that whatever kit you have, you enjoy using it. That's the other thing as well. I love my Fuji because I love the metal design. I like how small it is in my hand, and I like the dials. It's just who I am. Now, if I could get any designated video camera, anything I wanted, I would get the Nikon ZR. I love that camera. It's so cool, but I just got a house. I can't afford to buy a second camera. I have to pick. Right. And I mean, yeah, of course I could get one. That's not, but would it be a financially wise decision or pragmatic to me to do that? No, it wouldn't. It doesn't make sense. One camera body. And I mean, full frame versus.
Your product is good already. So,
yeah, well, and my clients can't tell the difference between full frame and crop.
Right.
Exactly. Your clients are not saying, why you didn't shoot this with a ZR? Right? They don't know.
Yeah.
They just see the final product, and if the final product is good quality, that transcends everything. So, Joey, you were going to tell us something about processing and how do you put things together, right?
Yeah, sure. Well, here, I'll just, we don't need to do audio for this one. I'll just share my screen.
Okay, so we don't have to mute ourselves.
No, you don't have to mute yourselves. I'm just going to share my screen without audio. All right, can you guys see my screen?
I need to bring it on.
No.
I need to bring it on. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
All right, and then I make it big here for a second. Joey.
Yeah, take your time. No problem. All right.
Here we go.
Okay. So, yeah, here so I use Final Cut. Honestly, all video software is great. Like, there's so many good options. Final Cut, I just like it because I'm a linear thinker. Like, I like things to be laid out in a timeline that makes sense for me. So here, what we'll do is I'm just going to show you guys just some examples of kind of how we set stuff up. So we're going to go down new project here. We'll just name it whatever. We'll just name it high. Okay. So when we were talking about the workspace, here is where that gets set. Here's our resolutions. These are all the different workflows I can choose from. I can do 360 if I really want to. Never done that before. Not going to do that now. I can shoot 4K, 5K, 8K. My Fuji X-T50 does shoot 6K, but I shoot most of the time in 4K. So we're going to stick with a 4K timeline. Now here I can customize the resolution. I've never changed this before because this is the standard 4K is like typically standard in most cameras. And then here's where you really want to be careful. Make sure that the frame rate that you're setting your ecosystem to is what most of your video is being shot in. For the most part, I like 24 frames. Some cameras shoot 23.98 for some reason. I don't know why they do that, but they do. And then some people shoot in 25. And then, yeah, like I said, when you get up to that 30 frame rate, that's looking more like broadcast. But you can also shoot edit in 60 frames per second, and that's going to look very sharp, no motion blur at all. That's just the reality of it. But yeah, for the most part, I do 24. For me, in terms of coloring, here's the other downside of my computer is, like I said, the storage is limited. So if I do uncompressed 10-bit 422 color space and rendering, I can maybe do 5 video clips, and then my computer is going to be full. But if I just do ProRes 422, I'm going to be able to edit for at least a little while before I run out of space. Audio, I always keep that 192 in stereo. I don't change that. So let's go ahead and get this created. So we've kind of got 2 different workspaces here. We've got our timeline down here. This is where all the clips are going to live. And then this is my play window, right? So this is where I'll be able to actually watch everything. So let me just pull some footage here. All right, you guys get a sneak peek of my photo book. we'll pull some clips from there. So with this photo book, these are all the different shoots I've done. These are separate days that I've gone out to shoot video for this. Like I told you guys at the beginning, I don't have a lot of storage space. So it's not like I can just save all these clips in perpetuity and wait till the end of the project to edit. I have to edit them as I'm shooting them. So an example of that would be, I want to do the Banff photo walk. I had two different cameras I used on this day. And this was actually a Nikon photo walk. It was a ton of fun. I've got the pieces I shot with my main camera, which I'll just bring down here, which I've already edited. All of these clips have been edited already. And then I've got my underwater camera that I use, which was an action camera. So I can bring all these down here. And then from here, I can chop things up. Now, this is kind of not a great example just because, like, again, all of these clips have already been stabilized. I've color graded them. Like, all of this is pretty much done. But you guys can see from here, like, they're already playing without any latency, right? Like, I can pause play so easily. And then up here, I can track how long it's going to take me to import my media. So it's going to bring everything in. Once all of this is fully brought into the program, the playback speed will be much better and it'll be easier to edit and color grade. If I wanted to color grade, let me see if I can find something that I haven't actually edited yet to color grade here. I don't think I've got anything. Yeah, these aren't good examples, are they? Yeah, I don't have any raw footage, so I mean, I guess I could just.
So in that timeline, all these combinations of still shots and video, you're showing here, what, a couple of minutes?
This is about 3 minutes of footage.
3 minutes. Excellent.
Yeah. So, but yeah, here I can just show you guys kind of what the color grading process looks like at least. So if I go over to the side here, these are all the things I can add to a clip. Typically I'll add a custom LUT. And then up here, this is where I can actually start working on things. So I've got a ton of different color profiles that I can pick from that I've added to my computer over the years. I've got like the Peter McKinnon LUTs. I've got, I've got a ton of stuff. I've also got normalization LUTs as well. So like if I shot something in log, like let's pretend this was a log file, I can go over here and I can set the camera LUT to whatever the camera was that I used, right? So if I shot in Fuji F-Log, I would start with that, setting this to bring the color back to H265, which is more of a standard color grade. On top of that, we've got our audio. Again, very linear. That way I can do voice isolation. There's also a lot of effects that you can use as well. I typically use the voice enhancement. And then I'll use this auto feature just to like normalize the EQ from that side. But then going back to color grading, you can like build up layers, right? It's very similar in DaVinci. It's more of a representation across the side. I like this one because I could just click and drag and move things. So like, let's say I set this to, this is going to look really ugly. We're just going to make it look crazy. So I could do like, I don't know, vlog normalization, and then I could do Eterna. This looks completely nuts. I would never color grade something this way, but I can swap these and it'll change the way that it layers. And then I can also add saturation, exposure. I can add a color board. It just depends on kind of what workflow you like working with. But like I said, these clips, I've already edited these clips. Like these are basically done. Like if I go back to, where is it? Photo book, winter, photo walk. Yeah, like if I go to this underwater clip here, this is that clip fully rendered out, right? Now, there's no audio or anything like that, and this is going to be part of a much larger video, but like this is very manageable for me to speed ramp or change and edit with that sort of overall video that I want to add it into. Okay. Right? These clips are way too long right now, but when I eventually am ready to edit the whole video, which I'm probably going to do here in the next month or so, it gives me a lot of options in terms of what I'm picking, right? Like I got these water shots and yeah, there's lots of flexibility. And then I mix that with like my main camera, because again, I shot all that on an action camera. This is on my XT50. and I've already stabilized like that shot there. There was too much shake. I'm not going to use that. But this shot here, kind of a nice action shot all this out the window freehand. I've stabilized it. I've slowed it down. These are clips I'm not going to have to color grade again. I'm just going to cut them up and pull out what I want to create the larger video. And again, there's like probably 8 different of these video compilations I put together already that are going to form that larger video. So yeah, that's about all I got.
And so at that point, you have all your shots, all your videos, the lengths that you want. Then you add the narration as a separate portion of it, correct?
Yeah, so I'll layer that underneath. So like if I wanted to add audio, like I would bring it in, and then it lives down here, right?
You drop it there.
Yeah, and then I could record audio within the software as well and put that underneath, and then I balance everything here. Now, sometimes there's obviously audio within clips. This case, there isn't. Like it's all muted, so it gives me a lot more flexibility that way. But yeah, ultimately, this video is probably going to be about 4 or 5 minutes long because it's for that live event showing the photo book and kind of how I put it together. So I have the luxury of making it longer. I don't have to compromise a lot that way. But yeah, this will be kind of what the workflow looks like.
Excellent. How beautiful. And then, of course, you have to then export it all together as a single file, correct?
Yeah, exactly. So you export it. There's different codecs you can export it in. I usually do H.264 because it's a lot smaller of a file size. But like on Mac, I could export that as like a ProRes file. And I mean, the video quality is going to be high, like noticeably better. But like the file size, like the final file would probably be 20 gigabytes, 30 gigabytes. And like, if I'm just putting it on YouTube, there's no point doing that. It's going to get down-resed and compressed to be put on YouTube anyways. So there's no point in exporting it that way because no one's going to actually see it that way in the end.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, Joy, thank you very, very much. We may bring you again in the future for a follow-up, and particularly on it would be nice to have some of us who like to learn a little bit more, perhaps bring some clips together and kind of join projects so that people can see how you can come from a bunch of images and small clips into a final product. That would be a fantastic opportunity to do that. I know we have other people like Randall that post a lot of videos that know how to do this, but certainly a lot of us don't know how to do that as much or as well as you do, correct? Particularly mixing. Any comment from the panelists? Any more questions, guys?
Why don't you do a time lapse of your brand new house?
I would love to do a time lapse my new house, but that would require a lot of storage of video space, Randall. Yeah, I wish. Yeah, that would be awesome. But I
usually use an external drive for the editing because I'm limited on the main hard drive, but I put everything in the external and it works out great.
No, definitely. I think I need to get a new computer at some point. If I get a newer computer and a newer SSD, I can render off the hard drive like what you're doing. But just with my computer being a little bit older, I just want to make sure that I have that speed. And that's the other thing as well is like when it clips, that slows down my editing workflow, right? Like I am pretty quick, like I'm slicing and dicing and moving things around, and like I can typically color, like if I'm doing like a 20-second video and I've got 4 minutes of footage, if I'm really being pressed, I could sit down and put together a fully clipped video in probably an hour if I really needed to. And I have for different projects over the years. Like I've had clients that needed something like right away. But I think that's the other thing as well is when you're setting up that editing timeline for the client, give yourself more time if you can, right? Like don't tell the client it's going to take you an hour. If you do that, they're going to expect it in 20 minutes. Don't do that. Set yourself up for success, right? Yeah.
Well, thank you, Joy, again. Congratulations. Very, very good.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. And thanks, everyone in the chat for all the questions. And if you guys ever have questions, definitely send them to the general email, and I would be more than happy to answer them in a follow-up. And like you said, Gustavo, if you'd like to do another one all about actually editing, I could definitely shoot some video and bring it in, and we could do a live demo workshop on how to edit.
I got some ideas, but we take these offline. Thank you very much. So anyway, so
And I'm hungry now.
I love
Thank
it.
you, Joe.
Thanks, guys. All right, well, I'm gonna go join my better half, but thank you guys so much for having me, and have a great rest of your live cast, and we'll see y'all in the online world.
thank you.
My joke.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone. Bye-bye.
All right. Well, let's continue here with our show. I think we have this was fantastic. Joy really make my life easy here today without Jeff, because he's such a great presenter. Correct? It's a wonderful presentation, very comprehensive, extremely well structured. So fantastic. So anyway, so let's see what we have for today. The rest. So let me uh, put this fashion. Okay, so we can see each other here while we're moving some of the slide. All right. So news and rumors, guys. Let's go into the news and rumors, and please do, guys in the panel, uh, let me know your opinion about what we have here. Locally, the last 2 weeks, correct? Since we last got together, there hasn't been that much. As far as I'm concerned, but if you know something, you want to discuss something, please do. Right. So on the Nikon side, correct, we're expecting several announcements during CP Plus. So I think although the last 2 weeks have been quiet, my expectations are that the next 2 weeks could be potentially interesting not only with Nikon but all the manufacturers, given that CP Plus is going to start shortly in Japan. They will go from February 26th, Thursday, to March the 1st, which is a Sunday. I think on the Nikon side, there was an announcement of an investment acquisition from Trainer Robotics. You can see this came from Nikon Rumors. So this is a company that Nikon acquired, and put into their portfolio, correct? That merges against all the capabilities of Nikon to apply the optics and the camera system to do robotic. Third-party lenses, like we are using nowadays, there was a long list of third-party lenses. I'm not going to go through all these in detail. I think I highlighted here only the Tamron 35 to 105, f2.8 Di3 BXD, which was announced and is now available for pre-order. It's kind of one of those flexible lenses like the 24 to 120, but this is a 2.8 lens that covers kind of the portrait range of the spectrum between 35 and 105. There is two versions: the Z mount version and 99, and the Sony E mount version as $899. Right? Um, Plenty of videos on this lens. These are quite promoted, and we talk a little bit about that. But what do you guys think about these lenses?
I'm interested in that 35-105.
Okay.
I just picked up the 24 to 70 f2.8 version 2, and I love that lens. But,
Okay.
I
think
have the.
yeah. No, this is definitely and compared with the men's that you mentioned, this is reasonably well priced, correct? For me, I am. This is not in my type of photography that I do or videos. I still happy with 105, which is my favorite lens for the type of things that I do. But I'm sure that if you work in this range with frequency, that could be. I understand it's also quite light, so it's not that heavy to carry for the type of work that Joy does, that requires you to be nimble and not have too much equipment. Look like a fantastic lens. Any comment from you, Roy? on this one?
No interest in those lenses.
Yeah.
Boring.
Yes. There is a lot of now lenses on that range, correct? There is too much choice, correct? And once you get your choice that fits you, I don't think the market must be narrow for some of these lenses.
I want
So
to see an ultra wide,
yeah,
10 millimeters full frame.
exactly. So on the other side, on other systems, and you took the one that Jeff actually highlighted was this Olympus or OM system announcement about OM3, which is a Astro dedicated camera uh, with which is a micro four third 20 megapixel stack sensors that has already um, uh, the certain uh, it doesn't have the infrared filter, and it has being uh, already optimized for hydrogen alpha wavelengths, correct? It has other capabilities like in-shot camera stacking and custom modes that are all dedicated for astro and star photography, right? So it's not an inexpensive camera. It's $2,500, right? Body only, but it's again trying to capture the niche uh, market of people that are interested in astrophotography. So we have some astrophotographers in our committee. And we have a distinguished astrophotographer here in our panel. So I would like to ask David what he of these dedicated
Well,
camera.
I have a camera that does this right now,
Yes.
but it'd be interesting to see what glass that Olympus has to go with this. Because it's when you start to get into astrophotography, is that you're going to, if your shots are anything longer than 3 or 5 seconds, then you're going to start looking at a star tracker.
Exactly.
And then, but it all depends what glass that Olympus has to go with this, because this is one piece of equipment, but you need the lenses to go with it. But it looks like it's a good start.
Yeah, and it's a 4/3 sensor, correct? So you really have to go with a very wide lens to get good astrophotography, correct?
And you got to get something that's fast. And if it's not fast and wide, then you need a star tracker.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's good that the people are addressing that niche, correct?
Oh yeah, and like I say, this is one piece of your gear, and but it'll be a good start, but like I say, you still need the glass to go with it.
Yeah. So on the YouTube and internet side, I pointed out to some recent videos and information on the internet that we can discuss when we get to that video. But I saw something interesting from Simon Lentremont, which is Canadian wildlife photographer, our friend of the channel, Matt Irwin, and the Petapixel, I think Chris and Jordan put a couple of interesting videos, and I will comment on some of the videos that they made recently on their weekly forecast, which is also referred also by Tom Hogan in the by Tom channel in the internet, correct? So we will go and discuss anything that anything else that you guys on the news that you may have caught that of interest to our community here.
Well, I was talking to a friend of mine in the camera business,
Okay.
and as soon as I saw him, he mentioned that Nikon has a price increase coming.
Okay.
And he mentioned a date, which I don't think I'm in liberty to say, because I hear an awful lot of information from him. But right now, your Nikon gear is on sale, but it's not next month, but the month after, there's going to be a price increase. at least in Canada. And
Excellent.
if it's in Canada, it's probably in that country to the south too, whatever it's called.
Thank you for the hint here. Anything else from you, Randall, or from you, Roy, on the news and rumors?
Well, the only news is that the Supreme Court struck down Trump's stuff.
Tariffs.
So we'll see what happens.
Exactly. So, question mark. So,
Yeah, the lawsuits are coming.
well, let's not get into the political issue, but indeed there is a price component to all that. And actually, when we talk a little bit, um, when we talk a little bit about some of the YouTube videos, I think I can make a comment about some of the issues related to the financials of Nikon, which also were mentioned by Tom Hogan as well. All right. So I think we have Rakesh saying that the Tamron has an interest in 35 to 100. So yes, indeed, to 105 of the C mouse, so indeed. So we have waiting for you. Keep waiting, Mr. Tim. All right. So photo gear. Let's switch gear here, and let's talk a little bit of photo gear. And I have something here that I want from my side that I want to show you, and it's a little bit of a mini presentation, but some of the stuff that I have been doing. Okay. So the first, actually, able to set the scene here is photo equipment. I actually acquired recently these Kaiser Slimline Plano, which is basically a light table, correct? That can also be used to basically you know, you can use it to illuminate some photos. So it's basically an LED. This is manufactured in Germany. It's very portable. You can see here, very thin, a lot better than what we used to have on the on light tables. And I have my light table here for my slides around. And the reason why I went and bought this one is because I have been, I think, partially because I reorganized my closet looking for some of my old equipment. I saw some of my slides, and I say maybe time that I look at my slide collection and see what is worthwhile saving and maybe digitizing and sharing with you. So I have been over the last couple of weeks trying to experiment with getting my some of my slide digitized. My son has actually asked me, "Hey, Papi, you should do so. Show me some of the photos when I was a child, or when you live in this place or the other." So that got me into that. And as you know, I can never do things halfway. So I went fully into this, and I have been talking to Terry and David and Bob Rosado about it. So and they so see, this is all the thing that I find out. So I ended up buying this modern light table, and in terms of digitizing some of my images, as you know, I being a wildlife photographer, most of what I did as a film photographer was on using uh, slides, correct? So all my current a great part of my portfolio is on slides. Okay? So what you're going to see is very much slide oriented. Okay? And I was interested to see what I could do with my mirrorless system. Okay? So I actually put together, and it's actually here by my side, bought some equipment, and I started actually with buying an adapter which actually was not made for the mirrorless system, called the Nikon ES-2, which is a digitizer adapter, right? And that actually worked quite well. I gave you some of my feedback on that. It was mostly made during the time that we have DSLRs, and particularly the A50, okay? So it was optimized for some particular macro lenses that were used with the D50, but actually it works perfectly well with the lens below, which is the Nikkor CMC 50F 2.8. Right? And actually, I didn't have that lens, So I ended up buying that lens as part of the saga of trying to have the capability to digitize my own slides using my mirrorless system. Correct? I also then you have to illuminate your slides, correct? So I ended actually using, and that I did have that equipment, a Loom Cube panel mini. Which you can see I actually have a couple of those illuminating me right now here. And I found with all these uh, mini cube panels, you can control the temperature of the light that is emitted. And actually, this particular one produce enough intensity that you get a very nice control on the exposure. All right. Now you operate that at 100% the power. But now on the top side here, this is actually one that came after I discussed with, uh, with the astrophotographer because I know Bob wanted to have bought an enlargement table to do some of the photography of his own slide collection, correct? And then since I didn't want to go through that, so trying to figure out how to do that, I ended having this idea of using one of those stands that you can basically put into your table, and actually something that a small rig produces that is actually made for videographers, where you can have a light and a camera in your desk. But I actually adapted this to use a light and a camera on on my desk instead of using a digitized table. Right? So with the adapter, and so I put this all together, and this is the way it looks. Let me show you here. And actually, I was quite happy with the results that I got of putting all this together. Correct. So this is here at my desk. Correct. How it look like. Correct. Which with the ES-2 digitizer on the Z8 with the uh, 50 millimeter macro, and then on that arm is an appropriate distance to put a line cube and produce a nice light. Right? So I did some experimenting with this. Now it just happened that I have an old digitizer, right? And I know in the people that work with film um, have mentioned the Nikon cool scan, and I remember that I have a Nikon cool scan, and it was in my closet. So I decided, hey, maybe I can make it work as well. So the other route that I took, apart from this one, was to see whether I could get an old piece of equipment, the Coolscan 5000, uh, to get to work with the computers that we have today. And actually, it turned out to be a lot easier than I anticipated. So Roy wants to share something here.
I just thought I'd show you what I use.
Okay, so that would be good. Let me go and grab it, Roy. My
I'm
mouse.
sharing it, I think.
Yeah, I know, but I need to activate the sharing, and my mouse just ran out of juice. Ah, sorry, Roy. I share it here in a second, Roy. Because incredible. I believe my mouse is in my Samsung screen, not in my computer. Too much connectivity. Okay, so I move it from the iPad. Okay, I have it here. So it was in another screen. All right. So Roy want to share. So let me see if I can see it. Roy. All right. So this is what Roy is using. Exactly. So that's actually something similar to what Bob is building. Okay? And that's an alternative, correct? That's a proper macro system.
That's using a bellows.
Using bellows, correct? And that the question, Roy, is this is what brought me to the saga. Actually, Terry put me up to it, right? Can you use this kind of complex system that you have here, which is more professional, correct? like Bob
So
is
that
trying
can't
to
be
do for himself, or using something simpler that I put together, correct? I Frankenstein together, correct? With this system, correct? And also working with the canner, correct? So that those are the three alternatives that I see, correct? And obviously I didn't have one of those co- uh, tables, correct? Where you can put a bell and everything. So let me go here with the presentation. Let me move the mouse here. So I show you the alternative. So actually, I did buy many years ago the Nikon Coolscan 5000 because I wanted to get into this project long time ago since I've been film and slide for a long time. But I never used it that much. Right? I never used it. It was almost brand new into my into my closet. It was well preserved, but of course time had passed. Right? Actually, uh, the day I decided, let me see if it still work, if I can still make it work, it actually was not that painful. Right? By the end of the couple of hours, I was able to get it connected to my computer. I had the right cable. This used to be a USB 2 cable, so I adapted to USB 3 cable and it connected into my Macs without any trouble. I actually ended having to test and then eventually buy a third party drivers that work with the modern systems, and I'm going to talk about that. I have the electrical cable, and I just put everything, and everything seems to be uh, working. So this piece of vintage equipment, which is now more than 20 years old, is working. And the question is the quality, correct? And the question is it still up to the job? And to my surprise, as Roy saying, it is still up to the job, and I'm going to mention some of that, right? And
best ways of doing it.
exactly, but considering an equipment that was done 20 years ago that is still not obsolescent. Yeah? So obsolescence with Nikon is relative, right? Still a relevant piece of equipment. And to my surprise, Roy, I find out that they probably cost more now than when I bought it originally.
Yes. They're getting rare and everyone wants them.
Exactly. So I ended being happy just by that factor, but I actually, as you will see, even happier with the outcome. Not that the other setup cannot produce good outcome, but I have this one, correct? So let me show you here how these look like now on my desk. So I have, it's not that big. It's on my desk, correct? And it's still a relevant piece of equipment. Right? Now, uh, interesting enough, and this is kudos to Nikon, correct? Although they discontinued the scanner many years ago, they, up to relatively recently, up to October 23, they were still putting stuff in the website about the finding software or drive that will work with the modern operating system. Right? And actually, they recommend they do not support the new operating system, correct? And you cannot use the same disk that you used to have at that time. But they tell you either you are a Mac or if you are or if you have a PC, or the two companies that produce software, correct? So we have a company that two companies that produce this one. I actually went to both sites, choose one by random, and it has been working perfectly well. I tried only one of those, and it works like a charm. And actually, this equipment, this software in the internet a couple of weeks ago, and just today they issue some update on the software because they keep adding more scanners. Actually, to my surprise, it connected to my HP printer a scanner, so automatically recognized that there were other things in the next So, Roy, did you have anything that you wanted to share at this point as well? No. Okay, but anyway, so let me see if I can continue. So anyway, this old piece of equipment, 20 years old, that I bought and used it for a while because I didn't have the time to spend on my collection of slides. I started to use today, and I'm sure you guys are going to be seeing a lot of my old collections. Okay? So this is something that Terry asked me to do. Hey, Gustavo, since you are going to have these two systems, I obviously don't have what Roy has. Uh, can you can you uh, can you make a comparison? What result did you get? And actually, this is an attempt to show that. So here you see two photos that were taken a long time ago. And Roy, I make those for you because I know you like alligators, right? And these are baby alligators photographed in the Everglades, right? Both from taken with Belvia film, right? And then scan either with a Kurzcam 5000 or with the ES2 digitized adapter on the mirror of the camera with a 50 millimeter. And you can see, I mean, I was incredibly happy with the results. Right? The Kurzcam with the software can produce a multitude of formats. I obviously wanted to have the best resolution possible, so yeah, getting uh, TIFF files and DNG files, and then of course on the ES2 uh, digitized adapter, you get your NF files, correct? Which are high resolution to begin with, correct? But you can see here, it was I was pleasantly surprised how well this worked, correct? And this a photo that I took, I have some prints here, and I was able to do this. Obviously, the one that I'm actually working on the collections, because my son asked me to do, are the ones that are more personal in nature, correct? Which I think those are the ones that have more sentimental value, correct? And those I put in my emphasis. But you will see in the coming shows, I'm going to be doing some of the film wildlife photographer, what we used to do with film wildlife photography, that you can see was somewhat limited, but sometimes you get fantastic, excellent results. The next picture that I showed also of wildlife is this one here. Actually, uh, this slide is very dear and it has a lot of sentimental value to me, not only uh, because it's beautiful, but I did remember taking this picture very vividly with my father, correct? After I got my 500 millimeter F4P and I believe these were taken on the either the F3 or the N90, right? And I was blown away when I looked through my 500 millimeter, right? And I look at the sea, late in the Everglades, and the blue hours, and the quality of the image. So much, Roy, that I got a big print of this on a Cibacron, talking about what you could do with these slides, right? But I knew I have the original slide, so I went and that slide I looked for it because I wanted to have it in my digital collection to have the version of that big Cibacron, and you can see the results with the two were excellent. And I will go to Terry's questions about what is best, right? And you will see the answer to that question is a little bit more complicated. So,
Both are good.
yeah. So I cannot see the comments. So do we have any questions or comments so far, guys? Let me go to the comments. My mouse is again traveling between screens. Okay, let me go here. Okay, thank you. All right, so we have some comments here from, and I will talk about the DA50, because this is interesting on the DA50 as well. And Bob reminds me of that. And indeed, Randall, you mentioned was one piece of F glass that is important for utilizing this with the DA50, and some advantages that the DA50 has that not other camera on the mirrorless system has for this type of work. So,
It auto converts negatives.
exactly. Yeah. All right. So let me you guys alert me if there's something coming up here. So let me hide that message here, and they continue with the mini presentation. And Roy, you have a lot of experience with this, so you let me know. Now, you saw those slides that I showed you. They were what I call excellent condition. Right? There were not many scratches. There were some dust, and of course I cleaned them. But the dust was relatively easy to remove. Right? But in my collection, unfortunately, since I have traveled quite a bit, there are some old slides that are damaged. They are damaged because, in some cases, Roy, they were scratched already they when they were developed, right? And actually, you look at them and you don't look at the scratches, but you put it on the scanner and you find the scratches, right? Also, some of them has something that I will be akin not to dust, but I presume, Roy, and this is where I need your expertise. It's like fungus because I think it's in the cellular.
Yeah, it eats into the cellulose.
Yeah.
You can use soapy water to do a quick removal.
Oh, I have used that, and actually,
But there's no real way of permanently getting rid
there
of
is
it.
no real way, and I'm going to show you.
You always
I-
come back.
Well, and not only that, I think once they eat into it, correct, you can even clean it as much as possible, okay, and put. I can tell you what I use, okay, but
I've heard hydrogen peroxide for about 5 minutes for each lens.
yeah, but this is not in the lens. This is in the film, correct? This is
The negatives and
an
lights.
organic
Oh,
material. So
okay.
when the fungus, if it's a fungus, which I believe it is, has eaten into different layers of the film, there is nothing
Oh,
that you can
wow.
do. Okay, there is nothing that you can do. So I tell you, if you have all slides, you need to take care of them, correct? And I know that's where temperature control. Actually, here in Colorado, since I am moved, my slide have become stable because the humidity. But some of these slides have to live with me in tropical countries, particularly the older ones, and when I live in Florida, and that's where you have fungus issues. Right? But I show you a little bit more and what I did because there is still a solution. I still some of them, particularly one that has sentimental value, is worthwhile. So this is an image from a lake in Germany for my friend Martin. Right? I think these were taken in this particular image. I figured out that was taken in 1988. Right? But this is what it looks when you digitize or either way at 200%. It particularly seems to like or become more noticeable right in the sky, correct? And so you can see is all these, you can see a scratch, of course, and you see all these dendritic patterns that sometimes are in the material itself, correct? Now, I did clean them. I'm talking about cleaning. I actually, uh, uh, I think Jeff recommended uh, to use the isopropylic alcohol at 99%. I talked to Bob, who do a lot of cleaning for his profession, and I actually you try on a slide that didn't have that much sentimental value. That it worked reasonably well. I also went and looked at all the stuff that he recommended and ended up buying something called Pick 12. As I showed to you, we using some tech pad which we use to clean sensors, right? And those that actually is the combination that seems to work best. But once these fungus are itched into the material, or when you have a scratch, you cannot remove it. You have to use something else, right? So I was able to do it when I go to the pros and cons of what I had learned, which is what the objective is. I show you, but I'm going to end at this point with a photo of this area. And just for here, this is me in 1998 with hair okay, in the Schönbrunn Palace in Austria. Okay? And that's like was not in good condition. It was one of those that had been affected, but I was able to revive it enough that I can able to share this with my son, which happened to have the same age that I have when I took this when my wife took this photo of me when we were living in Europe. Okay, so let me go here of conclusion, and we can go to some discussions after that. So with regard to the Cuscan 5000, right? It actually it produces a image which is equivalent to 23.5 megapixel, which is not bad. It's because it has a resolution of 4,000, the digitizer of 4,000 DPI over the area of the slide, and and Roy it was already when this was introduced in 2005, 16-bit, right? So he tried to take as much of the gamut of watching that slide, right? So he produced a 16-bit 23.5 megapixel. That 20-year-old equipment, not bad. As we mentioned, it has been discontinued. It's only available secondhand, and the price is ranging between 1,200 to 2,500. Good knows what quality you want to get. It has some adapters as well that sometimes get sold separately, correct, for scanning rolls of film. Okay? As I mentioned, the software is discontinued, but there are third-party uh, uh, available. I have tested this ViewScan. It works like a charm. It seems to be well maintained, so I don't think I'm going to have any problem. The equipment itself has several image enhancing capabilities. It has automatic dust and scratch removal that was maintained on the third-party software. Okay, it illuminates the slide in certain fashion that allows for detecting those. Okay, it correct it do auto correction and a bunch of other things. So already has the capability to be better than just that a simple picture of the of the negative or the simple picture of the slide. It creates very large formats. Right? It creates TIFF files and DNG files. All the files are already larger than 100 megabytes. Right? So you're talking about you pick and choose which one do you want to digitize because each one would be 113, 150 megabytes. Right? On the other side, the ES, I put EC, the ES2 digitizer adapter, which, as I mentioned, was designed to work with the DA50, right? And Randall, it was made to work with the 60 MMC, correct? And the DA50, but it works fantastic with the C8. I use it with the C8.
Yeah.
With the C8, it produces a 45 megapixel, but 14-bit image. Okay, it's a lot. If you have your MC 60 millimeter D or G, because there is a little adapter spacer for both of them. Okay, it will be a lower entry cost to digitize your slide collection. Right, and then at a point you can either use bellows and stuff like what Randall, what Roy is using or what Rob is using, or you can create some Frankenstein thing like I use. So it's really worthwhile. You already own a DA50, and I saw that you were thinking about buying a DA50, right? Or people like Jim that has a DA50 that probably has a good slide collection to have the 60 millimeter, right? Because now the 60 millimeter probably because of this, it's not a cheap lens as a second-hand lens, and there are not that many, right? So you have to find yourself a good copy of that MC60 millimeter. Since I own uh, 850, a D850, I may buy eventually one of the 60 millimeter G lens, right, to have it as an alternative because of the issue that was mentioned here by Roy, that you can certainly working with films, okay? It will allow me to create a positive out of the negative film directly in the camera. Okay?
Only in JPEG though. That's good enough for negatives.
Yes, although I understand, Roy, that in Lightroom or in Photoshop, there is also converted from negative to positive. Right? I think it's an add-on product into Photoshop.
That's more work though.
So the kind of things that don't work that well or don't work as well as the cool scan is that every time you take a photo, like it requires a lot of adjustment. You have to adjust the pitch of the barrel of the frame and make sure that your focus is perfect. So copying slides with the adapter, it can be time consuming. It produces MEA files, and those can be edited using your normal workflow. So in conclusion to this part, it both produce great quality digitizing image. I actually currently favor the cool scan because I own it, right? And it's the easy to set up time, correct? And you will see later on in the next slide why also I favor the cool scan. But I love to have the ES2 digitizer adapter. Okay? But I'm currently favoring using the cool scan because of the setup time. Other learnings. Slide preparation or slide cleaning is of the essence, right? I ended, Roy, having to remount some of the old slides. Locally, I have still a lot of materials in my archive for mounts, correct? Because some of these slides that came into the thicker frame plastic mounts, correct? They don't fit into the ES2 digitizer, right? And they don't. And I try. This reminds me of the story that I had with Terry the other day. A conversation with Terry. I put it on the cool scan, and because that particular plastic frame has like a groove, it got stuck inside my cool scan. So when I managed to take it out, I said, I'm not going to put more of this type of slide anymore. So I ended having to remount some of the slides. Well, remounting some of the slices, it takes time, but it's also a good opportunity to clean them up. Okay? So I ended cleaning them up. So the ones that I really want to make, so watch out for that one because it can be trouble. Okay?
Can I just mention the cheapest way to do this?
Yes.
You used to be able to get these Panagore or Verbatim dedicated units. They're just a tube with a cheap lens on the end, and they stop down to about f16, f22 or something. And just put a light in front of them, and they're about $30, $40.
Okay.
So that's the cheapest way I know to do this.
Yes, and I'm sure like Nikon, I mean these.
It's like having Nikon's ES2 on an extension tube.
Exactly. It's not the cheapest one, but it's very well made. Correct?
It is.
I know there are third-party adapters that are cheaper. Okay? All right. So the other thing is, I talk about these products, these PEG pads, and the PEG 12. If you have to clean your slide, that PEG 12 solution certainly have worked better for me than the isopropylic alcohol. But if anybody here in the chat or in our future conversations have some other ideas, I would like to hear them because certainly. But I believe now that almost impossible to clean them up. Correct? I don't think we can once the fungus are etched into the celluloid material, you cannot do anything about it. Okay. Now, therefore, for slides with significant damage, those are better scanned with the CoolScan 5000 because all these devices and software that allows you to do the removal of dust and scratches, doing that manually after you take a photo of your negative or take a photo is a pain. It's a big pain, and sometimes it's almost impossible. But the software solution plus the hardware solution inside that really work well. That's what I told you. That image from me, and it really cleared up when I took the photo of it, or I used the DNG version. It was almost impossible. I gave up and said, well, this is no longer useful. When I put it through the CoolScan, use the internal hardware and software, it became useful to the point that I can share with my son. Okay? But that only produced a TIFF file. Okay? But a large TIFF file that is very editable. Okay? Now, with regard to processing workflow, for completeness sake, okay, I have two workflows now. The slide with significant damage, I would create only a T file. It's not even worthwhile creating anything else. Okay? I open those T files in Photoshop, make correction using Adobe Camera Raw filter, okay? Duplicate the background, and then you can do some additional sharpening and denoise using something like topaz noise. And actually it works pretty well. So you maintain a high quality or as much fidelity as you want from that. And then I flatten the image. That's optional to you, and then you can do some additional adjustment. If the slide is in good condition, then using the ES2 adapter or in the CoolScan, which is easy to do quickly because it only takes about 30 seconds per slide, then you can create a DNG file or an NEF file, okay? And then you can open those with your Adobe Camera Raw, make the corrections, duplicate the background, denoise, and sharpen as appropriate, okay? Flatten the image, and then you can clean the minor dust spot that you may have. That actually produces the best quality of the images, okay? So you have good slides. I suggest you go for the creating a DAG or a EF, and don't use the software and some of the hardware on the CoolScan because those tend to soften the image. Right? But if your image is sharp, well lit, and doesn't has not been damaged, then you can create a DNG or NEF file. Okay. So that's my recommendations, guys. This is what I have learned so far. This has been a journey, okay? But I'm going to open here and rest my voice for a little while, and see what you guys have to comment before we move to the next segment.
The only other option would be sending it off to someone to do it, but that'd be more expensive.
And I guarantee you, Randall, they are not going to do it as good as you do. I mean, now knowing what I do now, what I know now, having to take the slide out, clean it as much as you can, remounting, dusting it off properly. If you do it that way, yes, you can. I think it will be super expensive, and then you have to edit it. Okay? Now you end with a new raw film. Yes, of course, that you got them to process, right? But I don't think unless you use a super expensive commercial product, right? for these older slides that you're going to get a good outcome. But I have people like David, the drone weather photographer. I would like to hear his opinion because this is out of I'm learning here on this process, and of course, like to learn from Roy about cleaning slides and taking care of your library of photos. Correct?
Well, most of my slides that I have in my negatives, I scanned them more than 5 years ago, and then I posted them on a Google site that I have, and then I got rid of them. So, and there was good enough at that time, and for what I needed, but because I didn't have the space to store them in my condo here. So, but right now, Anita is scanning a whole bunch of her stuff.
And she's doing it herself?
Yeah, she's doing it herself.
Okay.
And I'm not too. She's got the 50 millimeter macro, but I'm not too sure how that she's doing it. But she's coming up with the system so she can do it herself.
Well, she can comment later on this video or and add to what I'm trying to bring here, correct?
Well, yeah, and then sometime that she wants to talk to you about her presentation, so you can talk to her about that at the same time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what else do we have in the comments? So Randa, have you worked on some of these yourself or not?
Not lately. I've been playing with brand new toys, and when I get tired and think of something, then I'll go back to the film. I did find out that I had some film, like just before my sister got married, and I forgot I left it in a camera. And you have to get it processed. So I says, well, see if you can digitize it. Well, they tried, but it was so old left in the camera that it kind of spoiled. But I tried to do some editing and it didn't work out. I was thinking of the AI software like Canva and some others that can, get out the noise and like your scratches, it can like copy the clouds a little bit to get rid of those scratches and stuff. But that's a lot of work.
Yes.
And I've been also looking at, I don't have the negatives of my parents' wedding album. All right. So that's another thing is if you just have the photos, I would love to digitize all of them and then, just put them on a USB stick, whatever for storage or even a CD.
Well,
and I still have those.
So Randall, and now I gave you some ideas here what to do, correct?
Yes.
So Roy, any comments that you want to make?
Not really. I just suggest if you're scanning slides, do a small aperture because often they buckle a little and you need it all in focus.
Exactly. Yeah. Now on the cool scan, you don't do that, correct? I mean, I know that it's a way to focus. I know in the software it tells you how to focus them, but actually I have been, particularly for the DNG files, Randall, because the first when I try and I look, you look with your magnifying glass, correct? So this is, I actually managed to get my own magnifying glass and look and see, oh, these look a little bit sharper on the light table. Something wrong. I don't know what the software is not doing what it's supposed to do. So you go back again, you read, and then you find, no, because you have to use this other piece of software, correct? And this other, you have to click this option in the software, correct? So there is always a learning curve with all software, correct? Until you get, if I have a chance, I can show you some of those images in Photoshop. I mean, for instance, that deer or those alligator babies, I can make a 16 by 9 easily, correct? I mean, I can make a big file out of the quality after I finish with them. It was good to me. Right? Yeah. So, but I agree with you, and that's why sometimes, Roy, uh, you remount them, correct? And actually end up have
Yes.
have sufficient of my old stuff when I used to do it. Like they still have 2 boxes of uh, of unused frames, particularly the one that has like a metal. They were plastic, but it has like a metal holder that keep your
Yes.
side very flat. Correct. So it's all
Actually, used to make ones with little doors as well.
exactly. So the learning curve, correct? But in these you have to reframe them because they don't fit into the scanner, and you can damage your scanner, or they don't. The thick plastic one, which in a projector, they were easy, but not in when you try to scan them.
If anyone's got a one-to-one macro lens, they can probably just go light box and just photograph it from a stand or something.
Exactly. But you have to have a stand, correct? And that's
Yeah.
why this thing
Old
is
enlargers make good stands.
yeah.
People have got
Exactly.
old enlargers.
And that's what I love that you brought it that because I don't have example of that, but that's the solution that Bob is going after, right? Because I think we all have these potential gold mine and trouble, correct? So,
But things like the ES2, because you're mounting the slide or the negative directly to the camera, it doesn't need that much stability. You probably just aim it at the sky. It doesn't need the stability that you'd normally use for a macro shot.
yeah, so we have some comment here. Yes,
Yeah, I always wanted one. I
yeah,
always wanted a cool scan, but I never got around to buying one.
yeah. Those are not easy, even secondhand, to get. The one that can even hold an entire roll of film as well. I
Yeah, I
didn't.
like the next comment too, where the FireWire compatibility with the OS updates.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but the
So
5000 used a USB. So,
USB
exactly.
is good.
Yeah, and that I was concerned about the cables as well, correct? Because I read that they use a cable that it did Rob movie is mentioning here, correct? But actually have the original cables, correct? And I've got the original cable and actually try another cable that I have and it works, right? So the current version of the iOS 26, which is what I have, right? It works perfectly fine. Right?
okay.
So we have here another person commenting.
If that Magnasonic is what I'm thinking of, they're just a little sort of digital camera in a plastic box that photographs your negatives and that. And I never got a very good result with them.
Yes, I'm more comment here. Thank you guys for all the comments on this one. But anyway, so I tell you, Roy, you know how frustrating and Randall and David, how frustrating it is to work with computers, correct? I mean,
Yes.
and the fact that I was able to just plug in, connect, and then it suddenly works. That's a unusual situation, correct? So I was
Nikon seems to be very, very good at keeping things standard.
exactly. So
Well, I
anyway,
don't have a problem working with computers because mine works.
yeah, I know, but not when you bring in a 25-old year equipment. Actually, the other thing which I haven't tried, of course, I did a lot of backup of my old slides, my old digital photos that I took in the early 2000 in CD-ROM. Of course, none of my computer has a CD-ROM anymore, so I ended up buying a USB CD-ROM. I haven't tried whether those will be still readable. I know Mosman mentioned, oh, the CD-ROM don't have that much life, but I
Some are
want
better than others, those CD-ROM players. There's
exactly.
lots of ones now.
And that was so I ended buying, which I haven't connected yet, a CD-ROM player, which are now extremely cheap compared with when CD-ROM were a thing. but that's a different, what do you say, um, kind of worm that I'm going to get, but not yet. I still have to deal with this kind of worm, but I want to see whether some of the supposedly archival CDs are still readable. Correct? I'm going to find that maybe some of them are
I've
corrupt.
got about 200 left of them.
No,
Unused.
a CD has a life of 10 to 15 years,
Well,
Some have a
and then they
couple
start.
100 years life. The archival ones.
I'm going to find out, David, whether they are readable or not. The ones that I shot in, I don't know, 2006, 2007. And so on and so
Yeah.
on. I still have some hard drives, correct? But I used to have some old hard, but the hard drive also have the problem. So I'm going to try to, this is like a rescue mission. See how much of that can I rescue? But I'm rescuing slides at this moment.
Well, what I've been doing since I got my first digital camera in the year 2000 is I've been posting my good stuff on Google Photos. And so I can go back. And then I don't have to worry about archiving it and whatever.
Oh, I'm sure.
It'll last longer than me. And then, then my son's got access to it too.
Exactly. No,
CDs a very long life.
that's,
CDs last for a long time.
yeah.
Which
But-
is not safe of 3.5 floppies.
Exactly. But anyway, so I keep you informed of my. But you will see some photos because I do. I found some stuff that I want to share with you guys. Obviously, the one that are of more personal nature, unless it's me, I will share every now and then so that you can make fun of me when I used to be somebody with hair. All right, but also some of the experience that I have a long time ago. So here we got some comment from Tim.
I liked archiving onto CDs when it was possible to fit them on.
Yes, yeah. So I'm going
It's a
to
good
find
way of
out.
storing. It's a good way of storing stuff.
Well, my computer I have here has got a CD writer.
Well,
And it'll also write to DVDs.
yeah, but the Macs don't have any of that anymore. All right, and I can understand. It's a outdated. Oh my God, right? It's an outdated format, correct? But
Just a USB CD writer reader.
exactly, exactly, Roy. And
That's all you
remember,
need.
in the early 2000s, in the 90s, correct? One of those will cost you how much?
My first one cost $10,000,
Exactly.
and it took shuttles that you put the CD in first.
Exactly. And now that one that you have there, probably you can buy for $50 or $20.
Or less, or half that.
Exactly. So incredible.
Probably not as reliable though.
Probably not as reliable. But if they do the trick, and because I don't want to have it on my desk. I want exactly like you show there, Roy.
I want to put this one away when I finish.
Exactly. Have it in my closet, connected to my USB 3, and off you go. Correct?
Mm.
So anyway, so that's some of the things that I have been doing, guys. So let me go back to our show, because I still have some photo sharing and some more discussions. We always have to. So on the photo sharing, actually, it's all related to this project. Right? So let me take Osman here. We got Luis here. Hi, Luis. How are you? And you guys keep an eye on welcoming people coming in and out. I see we got some people commenting that typically had not commented before. I'd love to have new people in our channel and in our community. So this will be the next few slides will be good for you to see, Luis. So let me make sure that I can move the slide. So let's go back to this one in a second. So on the photo sharing, so this is a slide that I actually digitized from my collection because of our presentation that we have with our friend Sanji Pal Singh, correct? When he did some of the fantastic photography, which I encourage people to go back to that uh, January photo launch, general meeting, and presentation of a hornbill. So this is me in the 90s with film, which you can prove that you could do wildlife photography with film, right? Taking photos of a hornbill. In this case, is a oriental pied or hornbill, right? Uh, with slide, right? It wasn't easy. I can tell you, it's a heck of a lot easier now. That's when wildlife photography was a difficult hobby, right? But I like the photos, of course, and I don't live in Borneo anymore. So I'm looking at some of my images and I'm sharing in future review. You will see. So Sanjay, these are for you, correct? And then I did the hornbill. You can see these are no crop. They as they were in the slide. You see the imperfections. Okay, I cut the tail, but I barely could fit this hornbill into the frame as I was framing. And at the time, you have to take the photo as it is. There was no chance to write me better with this type of thing. Okay? So in part of the image sharing, I want to bring this because we were talking about that. So this is something that our friend Jim and Jim, I hope you don't mind me sharing this one. Um, Actually, Jim did this. Um, he wanted to experiment a little bit with ChatGPT, and he wanted to do a meme. He has an old photo of him with the D850, and he said, "Let me see what I experimented with ChatGPT, what he can create." Okay, and he created this image, okay, where he provided to this AI agent that photo, and he wanted to do something like a little cartoon of himself, right? And this is what he got, right? So this is excellent. When I changed an email with him, I told him, look, in the past, if you wanted to have an artist to do something like this, okay, it will cost you quite a bit of money to solicit somebody to do a cartoon of yourself to do this. So this is where we're talking with Joy about the use of AI. Correct? I think this is a fair use of AI. If he wanted to use this to promote his photography or to do a presentation and introduce himself, correct? He can do this type. You can do this now at almost at not uh, uh, easy, correct? So this is. So what do you guys think? Is this a fair use of AI? Because I know we talk about the negative side of AI impacting photography, but I think this is a reasonable use, and actually, if the intention, the ChatGPT did what Jim asked him to do with his own photo, correct? To create this meme, this cartoon version of himself. So I don't know if Jim is here, but I want to hear from him. But what do you think about this use of AI?
See, I don't mind doing that. Right. And that looks fantastic. For an intro or anything like that, like for a thumbnail or, yeah, or an avatar.
Exactly. So what do you think, David and Roy?
Yeah, it's a good use.
Mm.
It's getting better all the time,
Yeah,
and he's here.
exactly. So
Yeah, Jim is here.
exactly. So Jim, I hope you don't mind, but because I think when you said it to me, I think it was a good discussion for our channel, correct? Because we always talk about the bad side of AI, how it's impacting us as creators, as a photographer, correct? And you saw today how Joy, right, is using this for his own projects, right? And you can see here also Jim has using now not in a professional capacity, but privately or just for amusement, right? Yeah. So
I would.
yeah. So I think this is good. This is, and the fact that we have people in our community experimenting and sharing this with us, that's excellent, correct? So you can see exactly. So the downside is exactly what like Tim is saying here. They are putting a lot of people out of work. I have friends in New York and LA that have been created, and easily for the case that cannot find work. Of course, there is always that is the other side of the coin, correct? Right?
Well, it's been that way since we had Luddites. You know, when they first started making wool cloth, the wool weavers, and you know, and it it's what it does is it changes the jobs that people do, and
Exactly.
they end up doing a more technical job afterwards.
He had to adapt, correct?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, but that's the circumstance. But I have, we all have sympathy for the people that get impacted, for sure, correct? But these things are good, like what Joy is doing, correct? Is impacting other people, correct? That 33-minute commercial that somebody will charge thousands of dollars, he's doing it now almost to the same quality or better in some cases, correct? And he is exchanging him for a discount on a trip to Portugal, correct? I mean that I mean there is no way that technology is not going to affect the economy, correct? There is no way, and there is no way to resist it, correct? And we know all that, correct?
Well, look at the technology that's in our cameras now compared to what was available 30 years ago. You know, and the quality and the price and whatever, and it's the prices haven't changed that much, but the quality sure has.
And we need to have these discussions, correct? I mean, many of us are retired already, and like Jim is using this for fun, okay? But definitely it's impacting people. So people have to be aware. There is no, you cannot hold the tide. This is a tsunami that is coming, and we cannot do anything about it, correct?
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't put some color in his hair, though.
He has hair though. That's good.
He has hair, you know.
Oh no, he had done other projects, but which I'm not able to share. At one time he can share with us, but he had done some stuff with photos that he had taken, right, for fun.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. It's a great shot there, Jim.
Yeah. And also he gave us the opportunity to have this discussion, and for that, Jim, I appreciate it, man. All right, so let's continue here with the show. Anything else, guys, that you want to talk before we go to upcoming? Actually, we're coming close to our regular time.
Well, the only thing that I'm going to say is that on Wednesdays, that there's an astrophotography group that we get together and we talk about other things too. And if anybody wants to join, send Jeff an email, and we can send you the link. And it's at 8:30 Eastern. It's 6:30 here, and there's three of us that meet regularly, and there is a fourth at times, and sometimes there's a fifth. But
sometimes the fourth get occupied with the project that you give me, like Terry put me to do this.
Oh yeah, and we can get into a subject in depth because I book an hour, and it usually lasts 2. So if you want to get involved, is just send Jeff an email, and he'll forward you on.
Yeah. Thank you. I did enjoy it. Connecting with you guys is fantastic. I learn kind of every time I talk to you guys, and I learn something, and sometimes I get homework to do as well.
Yep.
So on the YouTube and the internet, couple of things that I wanted to mention here. that caught my eye over the last 2 weeks. Obviously, from our friend Matt Erwin, and the guys from Petapixel, Chris and Jordan. There was a lot of videos associated with the review of these new C-mount lens, the Tamron one, okay, and obviously one of those all-purpose lenses. It's very well reviewed. The question is, like you were talking, David, does it fit with the portfolio of lenses that you have? And like Rob were complaining, more lenses of the same space, correct? Now this is lighter, so definitely there is a lot of choices for the different style of photography that we can make, but they indeed having some uh, third party uh, uh, lenses is quite good. But so any comments on this? I think we already talked a little bit about that.
Well, I've already ordered the 24 to 120 Mark II.
If it comes ever.
Well, there's the chances are that it will, but we'll see.
Yes.
But I kind of like your selection of people here, because Simon is a Canadian.
Yeah,
and
excellent.
Chris and Jordan are from Calgary.
Yes.
So of the 5 people that you have here, you got 3 Canadians.
Well, we just happen to be like that sometimes. So but Simon, again, he has an excellent channel. He actually uh, have a couple of recent videos. That's why I put it here, talking about making big prints. And actually, one of the things that I do appreciate from Simon is his the technical description of that he does, and he does it in such a simpler, well presented manner. Correct. And he do it as best as you can find in the internet, right? And he talk about difficult things sometimes to explain, like diffraction, in such a manner that makes it very accessible to almost everybody, regardless of the level of knowledge that they have about photography. And that's a great skill. So indeed, this recent video that he talked about making some prints, and what is the viewing distance to the print, and what can you expect to do with uh, 8 megapixel versus 28 megapixel versus 45 megapixel. I think that is fantastic, right? And then the last one,
Yeah, I've printed an 8 megapixel file as a 2 by 3 feet. But picture, and and you got to get pretty close to it before you see the grain. And part of that has to do with the printer, because all of these printers are inkjets, and so that it's not that sharp, no matter what your megapixels are.
yeah, but and the other thing, which I think it should be clear to everybody, you have to start with a good image to begin with, right?
Oh yeah, you got to have a really good image. The only thing is with an 8 megapixel file, you can't crop, whereas a 28 you can.
Exactly, and there is upsizing software and all that kind of stuff, correct? Which he talked about it, but he talked about also viewing distance, and he talks about you know, the fact that when you submit, let's say you use a third party company, you print yourself, correct? Then sometimes you have to adjust the brightness of the exposure, because when they go to the print, they tend to look a little bit darker. So I think he again going complimenting Simon here, because this is what we do here. We 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 talk to each other here in the community, and pass what we learn, correct? And I'm sure many of you have seen this, but the passing good recommendation, correct? You learn something
Yep.
when you watch one for Simon. Now this one here by Tom Hogan, correct? He has his internet channel, right? Uh, he actually mentioned in the last newsletter something that I also was going to comment about, which had to do with petapixel. Correct. Now, Tom, in his usual style, is a little bit. I think it's better created a little bit of tension that I will do. But I remember on the Petapiso podcast, uh, uh, Jared, Chris, and Jordan talking about the financial results of Nikon, correct? And basically saying that Nikon is somewhat in trouble, right? And actually reading through, which I did before watching that, uh, reading through what was put in Nikon rumors about the financial results, I didn't get that same impression, right? The financial results of Nikon were solid. It's just that because of issues like we're talking about tariffs, exchange rates, different acquisitions they made, different capitalization they did on their portfolio, right? The results were basically reduced, but not negative profits, and I think indeed they portrayed that it was put on that particular, and I love Chris and Jordan and Jared, was not probably the more balanced with regard to understanding the financial results of Nikon. Right? And actually, Tom addresses that very well on his newsletter. Correct? Again, in a sharp sort of way, because that's the way Tom Hogan talk. Correct? But indeed, that bothers me a little bit because we know there have been in the past a lot of Nikon bashing. Correct? And I don't want people watching that to have the impression that Nikon is some sort of financial result, and also the explanation that they gave for the outcome of the last year financial results. Correct. So again, it's good to be an informed user of the YouTube, but also sometimes look for alternative views on the same news. Correct. Any comment about those things, guys? Or and I don't know.
I noticed that most of the videos I've been watching lately are either done by Canadian, British, or Australian.
Well, they produce good quality stuff,
Yeah.
and everything, and that's what draw my attention. Right? But Tom is American, so anyway, anything on the financial results? Any comments here on the? And I know see. Let me see.
Yeah. So if they do stop Trump, all right, on the money thing, I don't really think the camera companies are really going to lower their prices. What do you think? I think they're going to keep them high to make more profit because
most likely, and I think a lot had to do with the exchange rate with the yen, right? Which is because that influences certainly on the export to North America, and they quite a lot, right? And it was not, I mean, the Japanese were going through some also transitions with regard to the parliament and the prime minister, correct? So God knows how they're going to be impacted in their internal economic policies, correct? But indeed, sometimes we have to that definitely has an impact on the companies and of course your portfolio. And remember, Nikon make in some years be more aggressive with the pricing because they want to trade profits for market share. Right? These are all things that are done at highest level in the different companies depending on their current situation, right? But giving the impression that this was some idea that Nikon was in trouble or getting into trouble again, I don't think it was justified, and that's why I love Jared, Chris, and Jordan. I don't think that was a fair representation. Yeah, anyway, so but indeed the interplay of the tariff and like Mothman is saying here, and the yen dollar exchange rate is one of the things that sometimes affect. But obviously, they do it in the last financial result. They adjusted their forecast, correct? Which they have to do, I presume, also for financial disclosure purpose internationally and back in Japan as well. Anyway.
So, but one thing that my camera dealer has mentioned, that prices for Sony gear has gone up in Canada to match the American prices, because some companies like the same price worldwide. And another problem is the US dollar has been going down compared to a bucket of other currencies.
Exactly.
So that is going to raise the American price too. You know, and tariff or no tariff, that I think the price is going up, because the price is going up in Canada because of the tariffs. And it is profit because they don't pay the tariffs in Canada.
Exactly. Yeah. So anyway, so those are things that draw my attention in the videos and YouTube videos on the internet. So we have that discussion. So now let's talk about what's coming, because we got quite a bit of things in the pipeline, right? So and Jeff and I have been going through some of this discussion as well, and I have to um, uh, uh, talk to several of the people that have things in the pipeline. But this is what we have. So we have uh, our upcoming review, image review on March 7th, right? Then we have a general meeting, which as it stands today, and that may change, it was for Searching Wildlife, uh, Sahara and the Atlas Mountain by Luis, right? Uh, uh, we have remember that discussion about whether when we have a presentation from somebody in Europe and trying to also bring some of the people that we have in Europe before in Chuck Channel, where we do the occasional meeting on the Wednesday. So we had Louis have provided me with a couple of alternative days in case that we want to put this one on a Wednesday. All right. I have to, after talking to Jeff, uh, I'm going to ask Luis, which was here in the comment, again to talk about those days, all right, and decide whether we're going with this guy. But because the presentation is ready, correct? But I also want to make it easy for him to present at a decent time, like we did before we signed it, and if we bring somebody from Europe. So this may end up being a different day. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't have presentation. Actually, you guys have been very good at providing us with stuff to present, correct? So this is what we have in the pipeline, right? So from the photography series, we have line painting by Robert or Bob Rosado. That's to be determined on when we could to do that. The last Wednesday, 2 weeks ago, that I talked to him, he's still committed to do that, and I think he will put something that together. So in one of these coming Wednesday after photography, I'm going to uh, uh, see where we can get a date once we resolve the calendar. But I guarantee you that's going to be excellent because he's an excellent presenter and has tremendous technical knowledge, and we're going to learn a lot from that. Then, as you know, we have been talking to Anita to talk about travel photography on several trips that she had done to Portugal and Madeira and Portugal. I already have access to some of her collections, and Anita and I are going to be working on those presentations. So that is also in the pipeline, is being made. And Jeff has put a presentation on collecting cameras, lessons, and tips. Okay, and this is another thing that is already made that we have here to insert, depending on what happened with the news, and of course along the calendar and the image review. So we got plenty of stuff to cover the rest of the quarter, and probably even all the way to the first part of the next quarter. So This is the thumbnails, a promo for Morocco that I presented last time. Again, this may change time after I have a conversation with Luis, and I present the ideas that I have with Jeff. But Luis, have already provided alternative days for this, and this is the promo and thumbnail for the presentation by Anita, catching
Oh,
image
that's beautiful.
of a mural in Madeira, Portugal. So we're working here with you guys to produce this, and this is the promo for uh, Jeff. Okay, on the camera collection, which by the way, Jeff has some. When I talked on him on Thursday, he showed me some new stuff that he had got, but I let him build those in the future.
You notice it's growing, all of
Oh,
his stuff. And
they're growing rapidly.
yeah.
Yeah, his cabinet is not big enough anymore.
I say he need to
You're
build
going to have
another
to move that table and put another cabinet by the window.
and he find cameras in such a pristine working conditions. I tell you, it's amazing what he has, and him and I have the conversation about. You will see his uh, uh, 3D camera, but I let him to talk about that, right? And in the future, but he did have that presentation ready. Hopefully, we will have also some additional people that will participate in that. But I mean, every time, like when I go, I'm going to look for that MC 60 millimeter F mount, Randall. I'm going to ask, hey Jeff, keep an eye in case that you get one that look, because if Jeff think it's in good condition, I guarantee you he will be in good condition. So next email review. So the email review, it will be on Saturday, March 7th. Please do start sending your photos, okay, to Jeff selected imagery 1 at gmail.com. The format, as usual, JPEG 2048 pixels at the low end, or bigger, slightly bigger is also good. The line is the Friday before, and please do provide some description of your photos to Jeff. And that's basically what we got, guys, for today.
Excellent.
So anyway, so guys, I'm going to stop the presentation, and we can talk if you guys want a little bit more. Or say our. Let me see if I can. It's not letting me stop presenting. Okay, then we can go back to our regular four square view here, and you guys. Uh, Anything else that you want to add, or do we want to close it? I think we have done our regular time and a bit more today. So thank you for helping me today, and of course, thank you for Joy. That was a very well made presentations and the combinations. So I love the fact that we had so much engagement with the chat, and he was so fantastic at interacting with everybody here, and you guys, fantastic helpers here with this today, and I'm sure that Mr. Jeff is going to be proud that we managed to make it without him. So that means him to take some more vacation.
He may give us all a vacation, but anyway.
Exactly. So anything else from you, David, or Roy?
Well, I'm gathering photos for the next image review.
Excellent.
And I've got one or two that actually I've got one I could show tonight. You
Okay.
have to figure out how to share.
Well, you know.
No, that's not it. I got
in the middle.
Yeah, it's This should be.
Okay.
It should be there.
Let me bring it, David. Okay, so let me go here. Oops. This is when doing it by one person sometimes can be. Woo! All right.
This is we had our winter festival, and this guy that's in the background here, he is one of the artists who who built this horse. It's before I had pictures of dragons that he's built. One year he had one dragon, the next year he had 3 dragons, and what he does, he's got a little red button that you can press, and then it opens up the propane valves, and then the flames come pouring out, and it's rather interesting, and this is what gives you an idea of how big this is.
Wow.
And that's in Calgary.
Yeah, this is in Calgary. And our winter festival was really warm this year because you can see the lack of snow. But like when you press the button, the flames come up, and then you take your finger off, and then it stops. But it was it's pretty interactive, and he goes through a couple 100 pounds of propane a night.
I believe it.
Yeah.
No, that's true for
Yeah.
sure. Actually, I told you that I was going to share. Let me see if I can share.
I gotta stop here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me see if I can see it. Hold on a second, guys.
Is that a bird?
Magpie.
Oh,
I
okay.
had some meat before, and he wants more.
Sounds like my cat and dog.
So let me do a quick share here from Photoshop, you guys. Let me see. If I close this window, we don't need that one anymore. And I go back to sharing. Let me close that one here. I remember that photo that I told you that I took with my father's deer, right?
Oh, wow.
The scan one. Now you can see it in Photoshop rather than the little thumbnail. But look, so what I wanted to do here is to zoom in the photo. I mean, this was with film, and the film grain doesn't bother me, right? So you have a good image.
Yeah.
It's still a valid image. And this was done in 1994.
I always say if grain is the first thing that you see, then that's not the problem with your photo.
Exactly. No, so indeed, this is not as troublesome as we think, correct? And Roy, let me show you this is part of the show today. Let me see if I can find the alligators here on the alligator hatchlings. So you got, I don't know what you can see now, but you see the alligators or not?
Yes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
Yeah,
miss
the
them.
alligator. Yeah, little baby ones.
The baby ones, exactly. Because I'm now again. This is taken with Belvia, right? That still get a lot of resolution and quality, correct?
Yeah.
But so for the good slide, you can see this one was still mounted on the cardboard mount. You can see the fringes of here of the. But the image, I mean, it's still whole. You see, I didn't remove all the dust and stuff. So for the ones that are good quality, and you can remove as much as you want. I mean, look at the details on the scales. 'Cause, I mean,
Looks good crop too.
Yeah. I don't see any pixelation either. It's excellent.
Don't worry about little things like that. It's the image that counts.
Yeah.
exactly. So anyway, so that because I know the little PowerPoint photos sometimes don't let you pass, convey what you can do with the old film. But the image have to be good, and it have to be non-jet deteriorated. It can have dust. You can take those little, if you see my cursor, those little black thingies is easy, correct? But so but still, I mean that's what is in the archive, correct? So Luis, I may share some of my old wildlife photos, correct? When I used to do this the painful way with film. All right. So let me
Excellent.
stop sharing. And anything else, Guy? And I know, Roy, you have a fantastic collection of your slides.
I know. I've got about 5,000 left to scan.
Exactly.
Well, it should be finished tomorrow.
So with that, guys, I don't have any more for tonight.
Okay.
So I think we are going to adjourn here. So say you bye-bye here, and see you in 2 weeks, guys. Another fantastic show. Thank you, panelists, and thank you, people in the chat. See you in about 2 weeks. Start sending your images.
See you in 2 weeks.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Bye.